morning, everyone. It's a good day to be together and to share thoughts on a critical topic. It's very close to my heart, and that's on driving people. Manuela, thanks for that short introduction. And I believe it's going to be a time of value that we can share some thoughts and see what we can bring out of this program. Now, there's a lot to talk about, and we'll just try all that we can to compress the conversation within the time box we've given ourselves to brew together on business performance. Should I say, if your business is a startup or probably you in the mid-level already, every business has probably an expected performance level you want to get to, especially when the founders or leaders or senior management is thinking well, they're thinking, they are re-envisioning, which leads so many times to wanting to restructure, rethink our business model, because we're trying to expand, we're trying to scale. So if you're in billions, you still want to make more, you want to be better. And that's basically why this conversation is important. It's important. And I will give you some shocking statistics to start with that set us on the right path towards what we're looking at doing throughout this program. And I captured something here which is very interesting. I was talking about the quality of work in Africa. And if you look at the ILO recorded, which is not accurate because most people say we have 6.7% unemployment rate. But however, that's not the issue. Africa has a lot of people employed. The malams, everybody's employed, but it's just that, there's a lot of informal work in Africa and businesses that started not because of purpose, but because of survival. People just want to survive in Africa. Probably the person have tried to apply and it's not getting anywhere. So just say, what, let me just start from my house. Let me start frying chicken. Let me start puff business. Let me just go into real estate. And most times people lost a job somewhere. So people in Africa really were majorly pushed into business, because of something. If probably an African got probably a good job, good paying job, and all bills are paid, then that person might not go into entrepreneurship because it's bills. So when people say my take-home pay cannot take me home anymore, and that's why you see people say, you know what, I've got to start my business. So we have people majorly not even thinking of scaling, and they're entrepreneurs. And all they want to do is to be able to travel out of the country, pay the bills of their kids, their children, just be the best in Owambe, spend money, buy the latest car. But majorly for that business, there's no major goal and vision. So the vision will only scale based on the expenses of the founder. And that's why you see most people work in African business, and you see that, like I said, 2% of workers are informal jobs, low income, no job security, no structure, no productivity system. That person is not even thinking productivity system. So all this conversation, if you're not careful, it looks like an alien to most entrepreneurs that is still majorly hunger. When I say hunger, it's not only food. There are different levels of hunger, being able to feed our drive for affluence. And that's what is killing African businesses. And that's why
Good
you
morning.
see
Like,
someone
sorry.
that still trying to settle the business. The business is not growing well, but it's trying to get the latest car. It's not trying to invest a lot in the business. So we have a lot of problems in Africa. So the average African informal employment is like 58% of workforce. So you could see that in Nigeria, we have like 68% of everybody has a business. Somebody might be looking for a job and it's also MDCEO. Have you seen so many MDCEO come for interview? They say, I run my business. But why are you looking for a job? It's like, but how can we hire MDCEO? Say, yeah, so that's my side also, but I need a job. So you see, there's so many entrepreneurs, and that's why I don't know. I could have gone through statistics before this event, but to look at how many businesses are really registered in Nigeria every year, if the rate of businesses that we have registering in Nigeria every year, unemployment should be a forgotten issue. Because we have people that have ideas, but that cannot scale the idea. So Africa is actually one of the most entrepreneurial regions in the world. Also, that's why when you see an African get to your country, the Nigerian especially, also, we don't carry last. You see, getting into different places. So we said SME contribute to 80% of employment. So is it the multinationals that are really giving jobs in Nigeria? It's SMEs. So Africa has one of the highest early stage entrepreneurship because that's the hustle stage. That's the stage whereby hunger can be filled. But many startups in Africa are survival driven. They're not trying to solve a problem in the world, and they're not living a life bigger than themselves. So most African business shut down when they die. And not only that, it's shut down when they are sick. Not only death alone, immediately they are sick, or it's shut down. Some shut down when they travel. So some shut down when they're dead, some shut down when they're sick, some shut down when they travel, and some shut down every day they step out of the business and come back the following day. They're shut down because everybody they've left behind, they're doing they're not taking the business to the right direction. So you could see businesses in Nigeria that small scale businesses, informal, and their model is not scalable. I was telling someone over the week, we're looking at OPay. I was talking to OPay that if I'm not part of the management of OPay, but in the last 10 years, I guess around 8 years ago or 7 years ago, OPay was a logistics major known for logistics. So if I would look at the purpose of the director or the founders, should sound like we want just to solve or we want to solve problems for the common man. Maybe that's their purpose. We want to just solve problems for the common man. So they've been able to open up. Their vision is scalable. Their purpose is scalable because they want to solve problems for the common man. So when they saw logistic problem, they solve for the common man. When they saw IT problem, they solve for the common man. That means that purpose is scalable. It's scalable because it allows you to do so much and solving a major problem. But that's not the goal of my training, because my session today is not going through how to revisit your vision, how to re-envision, how to redesign your core values to make sure it's not on the wall, but in the heart of the people. That's a different ball game entirely. How do we ensure that our values scale across the enterprise, across our business? And that's not the focus of our training today. But these are fundamental problems in entrepreneurship in Nigeria. So it's shocking that we don't have unemployment problem. So stop saying we have unemployment problem in Nigeria. We don't have unemployment problem. We have, because everybody's finding something to do, but they are earning 30,000 naira, 40,000. People that are employed are not, their take-home pay cannot take them home. That's the issue. So you can see that an average person, even when the take-home pay cannot take you home, they are having a startup. They are frying chin chin. So we don't have unemployment problem, but we have a challenge in business performance. Those businesses that are started, and if peradventure is powered, then we can power Africa and we can power Nigeria. And I can tell we'll be a source of employment in the world because the rate of entrepreneurship startup in this part of the world is alarming. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. So it's no longer, you don't motivate people to go into entrepreneurship by default. We're prepared to go into entrepreneurship. And that's why we're dealing with driving people and business performance in Africa. So that if those businesses can perform, then Africa will become a hub of employment in the continent. And Nigeria will also become a hub of employment all over the world. Imagine our business scale. So think about when people travel out of the country and people say, I'm looking for a job. I tell people that people are not looking for, it's not government of America that is creating the jobs. There are startups that have been able to scale and they're hiring people. The Apple. So because there's nowhere in the world that government can create jobs. Government only creates an enabling environment, whatever it is, to make sure entrepreneurs thrive. But however, there are medium-scale businesses that grew from 10 people to 1,000 to 3,000. Then they need more people in the world. And that's why everybody travels all over the world because they have more responsible startups, entrepreneurs that have a vision, that are going somewhere and they're thinking behind more than just what to eat, but they're trying to leave something behind. Okay, they're trying to leave something behind. So you could see that that's the challenge of Africa. And that's where we must try to solve and encourage entrepreneurs in Africa to scale. Now, so I wrote here that the hard truth is Africa does not have a resource problem because we have resources. People talk about Africa as a potential. We have a potential for success. You hear everybody gingering us all over the world. But we're still the one that don't have the businesses in that same industry we have potential is not scaling well. So we don't have an unemployment problem. Like I said, Africa has a performance problem. Businesses that are not delivering, businesses that are not scaling, businesses that stayed small, stunted growth for years. You see someone that's been running a business in the shop forever, and that person has not scaled. It's not even thinking of scaling. It's thinking of packing up. We have these millionaires that built their millions around themselves alone, and they're not scaling. They cannot grow beyond them. And that's why we have problems in Africa. So we have different this is my category majorly. I've classified different businesses, the sick one, the not sick one, the thriving businesses. And when you talk about sick businesses, they know there's a problem, but they don't want to solve it. I know this business cannot survive without me, but I don't want to solve it. I'm okay that way. That person is dwelling in what they call it. There's this that sick MDs or CEOs that are running sick businesses that they know that is sick. Imagine someone that knows that your liver is getting destroyed and they told you there's alcohol and you're still taking alcohol every day. That's the kind of system we run in Africa. Sick businesses. They know there's a problem, but they're not willing to solve the problem. They postpone one day and one day and one day, we're going to solve that problem. And we have another set of businesses here in Africa that they're not sick, but they're not winning. They're not thriving. They're not failing, but they are quietly becoming irrelevant because they are complacent, especially when they start business and they hammer. Hammer in Africa or in Nigeria, we say they made the money when they didn't. Sometimes people started business and there's this strong abundance and you made that money and you're not even thinking of scaling again. Some of us in Africa, we try to create or idolize a model that's worked before and that is evolving, that is not working again, is not delivering value. But it's so difficult to change what is not working. So over time, you see businesses, they said after the shelf life of their existence is like maybe 20 years max. They were once good. Now, if I start saying we should just quickly chat in the chat room, businesses that once they were once good, but they're no longer there anymore. You can start seeing a lot of businesses in this part of the world that you see that they were once the leader, and I can tell you some of them. They have this the should I say the leading company when it comes to fast food in Nigeria. What was that first company that went into fast food? Mr. Biggs, thank you, Vanessa. Mr. Biggs was the first. You could see them. Different companies started, but they started, and under a few years, they could not scale. They just had to fold up another score. And the copycats become the main copy. Because copy them became the main copy, and the real businesses that started these things started failing. So you rather see businesses that have gone 100 years because most businesses are not sick. Okay? They're not sick. But when you look at the thriving businesses, they don't wait for problems. They're thinking, how do we scale? How do we become better? How do we provide jobs for people? How do we minimize unemployment? How do we solve a problem? So they're living to solve a problem, but not their problem, because most times we take our personal problem as the only problem entrepreneurs are trying to solve. But they're looking at scaling, solving problems beyond them, and trying to build a thriving business. So this training is not for people that run sick business. For people that desire to run a thriving business. So if you're here and you just want to stay sick, or you want to go into that category of not sick, then you're making a major mistake. You need to desire to take that business from being sick to a thriving business, whereby running a thriving business will make you meet your needs, meet the needs of others, and raise millionaires and billionaires coming from your business and solving more problems across the globe. So what we see across most business is that revenue, they make money today, then there's this curve. We make money today, and that's why in Africa we say, if you make money now, please quickly do something with it. Oh, money can go away. There's a way we are framed that we believe that our hardship is coming in the future. That even when you are doing well now, you won't do well for long. There's a mindset that is a problem. The mindset is that today is only what I know. Tomorrow I don't know. So let me quickly get something and know that prepare for the days ahead of me that nothing is going to be working. So we prepare for days ahead when we are so sure that what we are doing will not be scalable. And in fact, now some businesses that I meant some entrepreneurs, what they're doing now is that AI is taking over, won't be needed again. So let's keep money, map wealth, because we know that we're not going to survive in the next 5 years. So they're preparing not to survive. So revenue, they're making money now, and that's why so many businesses owe salary in Nigeria, owe salary across Nigeria. They've started well, big buildings, it looks very polished, but guess what? They're constantly owing their staff salary. Okay, and that's the challenge. So revenue is inconsistent, teams are busy, but not productive. It means they have so many heads, they hire a lot of people. This company now, we now have 100 staff, but you realize that only 10 staff are working. 100, but 90 is charity. So you can see that. And starting from government, you look at government, you see how many people are in government, you see why things are very slow, and you're wondering whether some departments actually have people or not. So teams are busy. They pretend as if they're working. In fact, like I tell people that the challenge of businesses in Africa is majorly presentism. Presentism is a concept of people that are present absent. Is that I will show up at work, but I won't work. So the person came to work in the morning, and you cannot point to one thing he has achieved. And by the evening, he's tired. By the evening time, that entrepreneur is tired. Got the entrepreneurs, the employees are tired in the evening. They said, wow, How was this work? Oh, I'm tired. What did you achieve? Honestly, I don't know, but I'm just tired. So, because that person is busy, or I call it busyness. So, people, entrepreneurs running such businesses are in busyness, but they're not in business because they're not productive. But their teams are busy, and we can't even lay hold on what they're doing. So many times, leaders are burnt out, they're overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed. They're thinking, oh my God, how will I do this? So the entrepreneur, the founder, or CEO has multiple roles, does not have life anymore. The life is the business. Very overwhelmed. Say, man, running business is hard. So you see this across businesses, whereby um, you cannot catch them. Why you the somebody did an illustration one time online that entrepreneurs work 24 hours even while they are sleeping. You see that they're still working. And that's kind of entrepreneurs we have in this part of the kind of businesses we have. Now they have strategy. And that's why you see this syndrome of people waiting till 31st of December to set another strategy that will lead to tragedy. So every year there's they're always strategizing. That they go through analysis paralysis, things that will not happen. Think about how people have New Year resolution in Africa. New Year resolution, next year will be better. Next year, there's always a next year that is becoming better. Now, by December, everybody's already cursing the year they are, that this year is bad. They start putting some emojis on the year 2024 and say 2025 is a great year. 2024, year of failure. But because they just want to live that year. And that's why everybody ensure that they're in charge on the 31st, so that they can bury the failure of they can clearly remove. Even I saw someone that every cloth that he wears into 2020 into the following year, he will remove it and burn it. He say, yeah, this cloth that made me fail, I can't enter 2020 next year. And you ask this person, what are you going to do differently? What are you going to do? He said, nothing. He said, I just know that next year will be good. I said, why did you feel it's good? He said, because it's a year of prosperity. Huh? What exactly made you know you're going to prosper? Sat down to design strategy and say, this is what we're going to do. There's no execution plan. They're still celebrating New Year by March. And there's no movement in failure. I was telling someone many days ago, I said, one of the things that you need to see in African businesses is that, let me first give you the story of what I did when our former president, many years ago, of blessed memory, that's Buhari, when he was 100 days in office, that I had a leadership conference, and I told every leader in that conference to stand up and let's celebrate our president. And then that the president was still 100 days in office, so everybody was angry because he had no list of ministers. The cabinet was not yet set. Everybody was angry. Then that was just 100 days. Then people asked me a question during that session, that Jibola, why are we celebrating failure? Then I asked a question. I said, why should failures not celebrate failure? Because most times we also failing, but it's just that it's not public failure. The difference is that the president is failing publicly, is visible more to others, and that's why people are condemning the president. But I asked them in that conference, what exactly has happened in your own life in the last 100 days? 100 days is a time to change things. It's a time to make things happen. It's a time that a quarter can change the trajectory of your business. 1 day, 2 days, 1 week. But we don't number our days that way. We don't move with resilience. We don't move with guts. We don't move with speed. We just believe that there's still time. There's still time, we'll do it. Anything we want to do, we don't do it. We only have this I will do. In fact, there was a time I made a video a few weeks ago. I said, let us wage war. That what we should pray for more is praying against procrastination. I will do it. That's the greatest demon afflicting entrepreneurs and people because execution is deferred into the future. Okay, execution is deferred. And that's what we said here that strategy exists, but execution is weak. Execution is doing everything you said you're going to do. You know, I shared a story last week. I was in a conference and I said to them about a lady that was celebrating her 21st birthday, and she received 21 cakes. And many years ago, Gen Z I was working with, then I called her into my office and I said, you know, girl, you know, you're doing well at 21. You're already a graduate. You finished 7. God has helped you. You need to run. This is time to run. So what do you want to achieve by 22? So she wrote a lot of things she wanted to do. Then I told her, okay, I'll be your accountability partner in the next 12 months to ensure that you don't have a wasted year. Okay, a wasted 1 year. Now, by the time it was 3 months, I called her for a meeting. I said, Madam, all the things you said you would do is 3 months already. It's 6 months already. It's 9 months already. So by the time she was 22, the internet was on fire. That thank God for a new year. Everyone, she was celebrating. She was happy. Of course, she came to my office again and I told her, come, you know, you just wasted. I see you that you are 21 because that 1 year, you just increased your number of years, but nothing has changed. You've not grown up, but you've grown old. Nothing is working. So strategy we exist in Africa, but execution is weak. So we are more activity oriented, less productivity because not all staff are delivering, not all businesses are productive, but all businesses open every day. That's when you look at how people run, they move on the road as if what they are going to be productive. You have this thing that when you observe, we rush as though we know what we are doing. That's what happens in Africa. And the typical thing you do, you can see this is that I was talking to someone one day and I said that one day I stood back and I looked at how people were rushing home after a service on a Sunday afternoon. They were rushing, they were moving. And I said, what are these people going to? You know, we run as though there's with something productive we're going to do. We're more activity prone. We focus on effort. I gave a scenario one time that, okay, so imagine you have your car broke down. This is how we hire in Africa. A car broke down and you need a mechanic or someone to fix it. So you got a mechanic to fix the car. Then the mechanic stays all through the day trying to start the car and you need to move. But guess what? At the end of the day, the mechanic was sweating all through the day but could not start the car. So what we do in Africa is we'll pay the mechanic for trying to start the car. You know, this mechanic have been sweating all day. At least the mechanic put in effort, but your car still remains the same. You try to hire every day, then the problem that made you hire still exists after years and years and years. And that problem looks like a problem because it now becomes something that we've hired a lot of people. It looks like this problem is an affliction. Then we keep having meetings and meetings and meetings, but no progress. You see, the way we do meeting in Africa, unproductive meeting goes into motivational speaking, trying to appeal. I was listening to one entrepreneur one time. I was meant to meet her in the morning, and all I was saying is at some point she was begging the people, please, you two will start your business in the future. They will do this to you. They will do this to you. I said, don't kill this madam. This madam already want to die. This business is already killing her. Why? Because that's where it is. People don't know how to drive performance. So there's so many activities and meetings, but we still revisit the same issue day after day week after week, month after month, year after year, decade after decade, and that same problem is not visited. So, the real cost of poor performance. Now, when these things happen, activity, all those things, effort, putting effort, nothing is working, and people are even angry. Employers in Africa pay for effort. Sorry, let me show you something about a bit of things you should see. If government come up with a circular tomorrow and says that there must be public holiday 7 days, 80% of workforce, 90%, they're already having a plan for what they don't even know. Now, nobody has nobody had any, idea of the public holiday. By tomorrow, if government say there's a public holiday today, by 4 p.m., I can tell you, all your employees, 90%, have reasons why they must not be at work. Why? Because there's no result orientation. So most times people just want to pretend as if they're working. They came to work just to mark attendance, because if you don't mark their attendance, and since employers also, they see people when they come to work and they mark attendance as if they're working. You say, okay, you came to work. You didn't come to work. So people that didn't show up at work are the ones that didn't come to work. People that showed up at work and are not working, came to work and they worked. So the definition of work is very bad in the world. So what people see is that, let me just show up. Let Oga see me. Oga, I'm here, I'm on my seat. And that's where Oga rewards. And the person that didn't show up is actually who they punish. Like somebody said to me one day is, you want this in Africa, somebody is going on leave. Sorry, have you had this request before? An employee coming to meet you as a founder or entrepreneur, or depending on the structure, and say, Oga, I will go on 4 days holiday, but don't worry, my work will not suffer. Have you heard that before? That, sir, I will make sure I cover up. My work will not suffer because I have a plan that when I'm on holiday, my work will not suffer. That should tell you that your staff has been on holiday. It's just that your staff just want to now go on physical holiday, not because he's already on holiday. So he knows that if I'm on holiday with him, why can't you give me days off to be on holiday? Because I cannot understand how your lack of being around will not affect if truly your being around is not affecting. So there's a problem already in what is being measured and what is being tracked in organizations. And that's the problem. That's the performance illusion. So there's a cost of if your business remains the same. If you don't change it, there's a major cost. And let's look at the real costs of this poor performance. Now, lost revenue. Because you know one thing? A sales team has 200 leads, but converts only 10%. But 30% that they should convert, they're not following up. They don't even care. They don't reach out to the clients. They just call them on. They don't follow up on their clientele. Normally, your business should make 30%. That means you should be having 60 people patronizing you from these leads, but you got only 20. So you are losing 40%. That's a huge cost. And all your expense is now on 10%. That's the problem. So follow-up are slow, deals are not closed on time because the employee is not even planning to close the deal. Because where I came from, we always say, Oga sells, Oga does not sell. The money of the slave will be complete. So deals are not closed well. And that's the challenge. So the opportunity existed. So what you should deliver in 1 month is what you are doing in 3 months. So a typical business, what they should have produced in 1 year is what they are doing in 5 years. Does that make sense to you? Because if you're converting 10%, what that tells me instead of 30% is that your your 1 year should have been what you achieved in 1 year should have been achieved in what you achieved in 3 years is what you should have achieved in 1 year. So you are losing revenue. So if we don't fix our business very well, money is going, but you're not seeing it because it doesn't look it. In fact, someone that steals 2 million and you are losing, someone that is making you lose 20%, that person stealing 2 million is better. Because at least you are making 1 billion and the person is stealing 2 million. Apart from the ethical issue, the people stealing the money are the real people that are not delivering the 20% to make you make 3 billion. You are making 1 billion instead of 3 billion. Then you are struggling and punishing people that are making you lose 1 million instead of focusing on people that are making you lose 2 billion. So you are taking 3 years to deliver on 3 billion. That's the challenge. And don't forget, you are getting old, though. You're getting old. So if you live that way continuously for the next couple of years, you will have lived 30 years and you have 10 years performance. What you have achieved in 10 years is what you achieve in 30 years. And this is a fundamental problem of the essence why performance is important. We lose revenue. Now here, I said wasted salaries. Your HR expense or overhead cost is blowing off the roof every day. But the delivery, let's say for example, many years ago, I traveled. So I told one employee to help me deliver on a slide production. I said, please get those slides ready before I come back. So I was there for 2 weeks. So when I came back, I asked the employee, how many slides have you gotten ready? She said 12. I said, 12? Hey, I've been away for 2 weeks. So I said, meet me in the boardroom by 4 p.m. So I left around 8 o'clock for a meeting. By the time I came back by 4 p.m., guess how many slides the employee have done within 8 hours? She did 100 slides more. Now, I left for 2 weeks. She was only able to do 12 slides. I met her in the morning. I asked her, but she sensed trouble. So between 8 and 4, she did 100. Now, let's now break it down. If you know how to calculate now, what is the company loss? Now, what's our company losses? Can we calculate it? If in 1 day, the person did 100, and in 2 weeks, she did 12, meaning that person should have given us 1,200 slides if the person has worked optimally, but the lady gave us 12 slides in 2 weeks. Meaning that if I had not set up that meeting that day to track what she wants to do, and she didn't perceive trouble, what is happening is that she will have delivered 24 slides. Then the question you ask yourself is that what is that person doing with time? Should I tell you? That person is running an air business. That person is doing logistics and using your time to do it. That person is doing it, but that person needs your salary to continue that work. But that person is not working for you while working. And the ones that are not doing business, what they are doing is that they're on Snapchat and they're on social media, feeding their mind and spending 3-5 hours on it without productivity. So if you look at this, employee earns 300,000 naira monthly, but delivers work that doesn't move revenue. And what happens is you dare not say there's no money to pay. Oh. That's why if you don't have, there'll be a looter because employees are busy but not productive. Salary becomes an expense when performance is low. But you see, salary becomes an investment when performance is high. Because you can pay someone 2 million or 4 million and you know that returns is going to give you 500 million. But you see, when salary becomes an expense, there's a fundamental problem that will be sorted out. Salary is not meant to be said entrepreneurs are not meant to say, my salary is blowing up. My salary this month now is not 30 million. What will I do? When you're saying things like that, there's a performance issue, there's a critical system issue that we need to deal with, which is beyond that pain of you saying salary. There's a skill gap that entrepreneur has to turn that salary into an investment, not an expense. Salary is meant to be an investment. It's not meant to be an expense. So you have wasted salary when you don't know how to manage team performance, people performance, and business performance. Now, if your company is not doing well and your employee are not proactive, making decisions on time, now you're going to miss out in the market. Where I said in those days, there's some false myths or proverbs that we were born into, that they said to us many years ago that a patient dog, have you heard that? I don't know whether you've heard it before. They say a patient dog hits the fattest, is it meat or bone or what they call it? That is if the dogs that came, the dogs in your environment now are not, and then they are crazy. They're hungry, you will not meet anything. Now, people want to grab everything now, grab it. So if you are saying you are patient or you are taking it easy in business, you will not see any bone. They finish the bone too. You'll be hungry. So the market does not wait for your readiness. Your business is not ready. Does not mean the market is not moving. The market is doing what they have to do. Either you're ready or not, that's your problem. But the truth is, you miss every shot you're not shooting as a business owner. You miss if you don't shoot it. And if you don't drive your business performance, you cannot shoot it. Just take, for example, if you're not preparing when you should prepare, it's just like someone that should be carrying weights. When opportunities that demand 100 kg, you've not been carrying on 10 kg, you've not been carrying 20 kg, you're missing all those things. When 100 kg opportunity come, you just say, come, we're not strong to maximize this, because you don't have the strength. So competitors will always take off your markets when you don't perform, when your business is not performing. Now, then you'll be frustrated. Your CEO repeat the same instruction. How many of us are in this band whereby you give employees the same instruction today? Yes, the same thing you said yesterday, the same thing you said last month. Targets are missed consistently and you are tired. So it is hard to even predict how your business will survive. You have a forecast that you make 1 billion. By the end of you saw that it became 40 million, 50 million. Targets are missed. Nobody is taking ownership. So you're tired. Sometimes you just feel, should I even pack up this business? And that's what is small business syndrome. And that's why when we tell entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs, of course, have a different problem in Africa. Also, we don't want to grow. We don't go for trainings. We don't go for things that can expand us, that can improve our competence to ensure we can power that business. Like I tell people in my staff event, I said to them that the version of problems you are dealing with when you're a startup, the version is different as you scale. Now, if you don't scale your competence and your business skill, you yourself, in the ends of affair of that business, will kill that business because you don't have the capacity to drive that business. That business has grown more than your capacity. So when systems are weak, leaders become supervisors instead of strategists, because now you start chasing staff instead of thinking far. Have you seen whereby CEOs don't have time to think far anymore? They have time to only deal with issues that are happening day by day. So when that happens, there's no way you'll be frustrated. And that's the cost of non-performance. Because you start giving up on that business and thinking that business, you're not called into it. I've seen so many business owners in my last 20 years fold the business thinking they were not called into it. They now go into calling and say, this one, I'm not called into, that's how I failed. I'm looking for business I'm called into. And that's a challenge, because there's no business you cannot thrive if you have the skill to drive it. So, team burnout, because the team is not performing. So Some employees are not doing well, some are doing well. So you keep using one that is doing well. Okay? You keep using one very well. You use the person today, you use the person tomorrow. Then very soon the person is tired because you're not dealing with the people that are not doing well. So people that are doing well, you now make them weller, then you now make them wellest. So you wear them out until those guys are burned out. Why? Because you have only few people you depend on because your business is not structured. So there's constant pressure without results. You keep putting pressure, and because the result is meant to be produced by 10 people, but only one person is delivering and working. So there's burnout. So Africa's business performance crisis is caused by weak execution culture. You have a plan already, but you don't know how to drive it. Number two, poor accountability system. Nobody is holding anybody accountable, and which you need to learn how to hold teams accountable. Number three, leadership gaps. There's no leader. The ends of affair is weak. And when I talk about leadership gap, I mean your leadership team don't have what it takes to drive that business to where they should go. But you still hold on to them as your leadership team. Does that happen whereby you know that you don't have a leadership team, but you have people with leadership title? That's what happens in Africa. Sometimes founders and entrepreneurs cannot confront leadership gap issue. And there are two, our culture also usually make things fail. The culture of, if you are my friend, you should keep my job, even though I'm not working. It's an African culture. That even though I'm not achieving, this friendship alone should be able to keep the job. And that's why people in Africa will tell you that they should not hire their friends. Because they say anybody you cannot fire, don't hire. I mean, but that means because they know that they won't be able to fire their friend because they don't want to destroy family. They don't want to destroy friendship. And that person will take it personal on you if you fire. So we have a leadership team that was built using what we call the warm-blooded syndrome. Warm-blooded syndrome means who sounds, so when somebody feels like, the person have bought into your vision, even when the person don't have capacity, you already love that person. In this part of Africa, surround that person like I believe in you, sir. I believe the business can go well. But that person, you rather give that person position in Africa than giving people that don't believe but they can do the job. Now, so we're more sentimental. So we have a strong leadership gap that if we don't confront fast, those businesses cannot scale. We easily give titles very fast in Africa. Someone that doesn't, a team member that just joined you, that doesn't have anybody that is managing, is already a manager. He's already called GM, even though there's nobody in the company. I went to a company one time, they said, this is our GM. How many staff do you have? There's only one. Then where is the general manager coming from? We just give title that causes a lot of leadership gap. Then talent underutilization. This is the challenge. You have a lot of people that are not delivering. So the reflection question is this. Where is your business currently losing performance? This time to think. You're running a business. Where is it currently losing performance? Where is that little hole that is sinking your Titanic? Is it leadership gap? Is it lack of holding things accountable? Is it talent utilization? Is it weak execution? What is actually holding your company back? Can somebody let me see that chart? That's the question that I want us to answer. Look at the business you work. Look at the problems you see every day. Look at the meetings you guys have every year. If you're the leadership team, or you are the HR person, or you are the CEO in this meeting, where do you think the problem is coming from in this four crises? Where do you think the problem is coming from? Is it weak execution? Is it talent on that level? Abigail said four. All of the above. I want more people to, I want to get feedback from you guys. Where do you think the problem is coming from? Powerful. So we can agree that the business crisis, performance crisis is coming from majorly these four areas. And we try to deal with those areas in this training. We try to confront those areas and trying to see what we can do. This is a summary program, trying to compress a lot into the few hours we have together. Just look at it and see what you can jump on Monday, how your Sunday should be. What can you do differently when you leave this training? What can you start fixing? And seeing how we can transform that business and make it better. Okay, good. So, like I've mentioned, reasons why business don't perform. We have leadership problem. We have people problem. We have strategy problem. We have execution gap and culture problem. So this is what I'm going to be focusing on now in the next few minutes. We're going to be looking at leadership problem and strategy problem. So let's look at the leadership problem. Yeah, interesting is Oluwasegun. Most times you'll be shocked that when at the beginning stage of your business, what is the most major problem is used to be capital, but you see, the major challenge is the carrier of the business is usually the only one that has the competence to power that business. Imagine you have 10 of you that can do exactly what you can do. You see, you are the only one that can have that meeting with the investor. You are the only one, so you can only have one meeting per day. Now imagine you have 10 people that can have 10 meetings per day that have the same capacity as yourself. Don't you think that the timeline it will take you to get investors will be shorter? Okay, so if you look at it critically, it's centered all around that the conversations to drive that business can only come from one person. The thinking can only come from one person. So beyond the capital, if you have capital and you have a bad leadership crisis, and you have bad people, branches will start folding. Have you seen businesses that got capital, they started opening, expanding, and they started shutting down? So the challenge is leadership, people, strategy, culture, and execution gap. So even when you have money can also, like there's this quote I love so well when I'm doing my training. I said, only when the tides are low that you can see who's actually swimming naked. Most times we cannot see who's swimming naked because there's money. And most times because entrepreneurs have money, there's this feeling that things are working. And most times, more money makes you not focus on the performance and delivery of each of your team members. Because all you do is to hire more people. All you do is to fund dreams based on your vision, even though you don't have the capacity yet. So you are running faster than the capacity of your team you've been able to create or build. At the end of the day, there's no structure and there's no foundation backing the buildings. And you see, when you build on sand without great foundation, then there's no way when the winds come, it will bring it down. So I agree that finance, but however, it's largely all these problems are greater than financial problem, because sometimes when you don't have problems in this area, you can raise finance, you can raise money. Okay, so let's look at the first one: leadership problem. Leadership problem. Oh yeah, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get the Fatima. Yeah, yeah, we're gonna get there today. Leadership problem. Let's look at that first problem. Most leaders talk vision, but they avoid structure. Everything comes to you. Everything, decisions, you are the one. And the reason why that happens also is because there's a people problem. The people the leader have on a team, on his a team or his team, that they cannot trust with decisions. So you know already that the only person that can think critically is the leader. Then the leadership team are not empowered yet, even though they have a title. So everybody is waiting on the leader to make decisions. So there's a leader, there's what we call decision queue. Everybody queuing up, trying to wait on the leader. Then imagine a company that have 500 people and everybody is waiting on the CEO to make decision. That CEO will die easily because there will be delayed decision because there's a decision queue and it's taking it one by one. That's a problem. That's a leadership problem because they don't have people at the top that can make the decisions. So they avoid structure and they talk vision, but no implementation. Let's look at the next problem. Now, people problem. This problem I see everywhere. Wrong people in the right roles. And I consult for a lot of entrepreneurs, and I see this problem because they've installed the wrong person in the right role. How do I mean? You've put in someone you cannot trust, someone that doesn't share your values, someone that doesn't share your ideologies, someone that doesn't share your sense of ownership in critical roles. And when I say critical roles, roles that can influence others. Because a leaders, anybody you install, their actions and their inaction affect your business. Their action and their inaction affect the business. Okay? Their actions and inactions affect the business. And there's no way whatever they do rubs off on the team. And they are the ones meeting your team every day, but they don't share your vision. They don't share your values. So those people are wrong people. Even though they have competence, even though they have capacity. So they don't align with your values. Then they are wrong for your business. As long as they are not in alignment. In fact, the most important challenge of most businesses is that you have people at the top that are not sharing your values. Think about one of the leaders I know that has 12 senior executives, and all of us know the leader. Only one did not share the values, and guess what happened? Terminated the vision. Only one. Imagine you have 12 at your senior level and you have 6 that are not sharing your values. You have 5. Even when the leader that got 12 people, when he had a world vision, only had 1 that didn't share his values. That one killed the vision. So that's why we install the wrong people. And the reason why leaders install the wrong people is because we always think about leadership scarcity. We think about, where am I going to get new people? Where am I going to do this? How will I do this? Well, we find we can just manage. We can just manage. And guess what? What I realize is if you manage people that don't share your values, they will still go. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just that it will take you for a while, and if you're not careful, the longer they stay, the longer they divide your kingdom. And the day they want to go, they divide them by 3. Minimum, they divide your kingdom. 1/3 of them will go with them. And when I say 1/3 of your team, practically, they might not leave practically, but guess what? They'll be present absent. Now, because if they're around, have you seen people, let me on the lighter note, people have left and they're constantly having meetings. This happens in SMEs a lot. People left and they're constantly having meeting people internally so that they can also leave. Their real leader have left. The leader on ground is constantly having meeting with them. When will you leave too? And come and join me. When you leave too, come and join me. Because there's no way when we put the wrong people, and when I say wrong people, I'm not talking about competence. I'm talking about wrong people, people that lack your values, that don't listen to you, that don't respect you, and you've put them in roles of critical influence is a challenge. Now, we also have right people in wrong roles. People that share your values, that share your competence, that they share your values, they share your person, they share your vision. They're like you, but guess what? They don't have the skills for where we're putting them. That's what happens most of the time. You see that you have people that share what you want. It's like, I love the person, is trustworthy, has integrity, but that person does not have the capacity for the role. Can you see problem? This Kazongo Bonaweo, because now the person we have, the first one does not have value, and has competence. Another one has your values, you like the person, but the person cannot drive the business. There's a problem already. You have someone that you like, but likeness don't bring profit. There's a problem. This entrepreneurship in Africa can be crazy because I have to sit to look at the problems we face when we're consulting for entrepreneurs. Then you ask, can this person deliver? No, but I like the person. The person is loyal. Loyal. Hey, can you see? The person that is disloyal has competence. The person that is loyal does not have competence. Hey, how will business grow? The question is, how do these people find themselves in our businesses? And actually, that's what happens. And we still believe that the business will survive that year because the vision is big, but this is wrong. And sometimes you have people that don't have direction or they're not in alignment with your vision. That's another problem. They are skilled, but you said the vision, we're going this way this year. And a house divided against itself cannot stand. So there are two visions going different direction. They are going this way, you are going this way. You're fighting. There's no way. They cause Babel. No agreement. Everybody's going their way. That's the next one. Okay? Skilled people with no direction. That's another challenge that you see in businesses. So we also have strategy problem. Most strategies are ambitious. We'll take over the world. We'll take the million. We'll take the billion. There's this vision that when people are done with their vision board, you know that they should still be they're in dreamland. They know that what they're dreaming of, they don't have the team capacity for it. They are beautiful vision, ambitious. But guess what? They don't have it's just like when you have a Imba. A Imba is saying, well, we have a vision to beat Baka. but they don't have the team to beat back up. But they have a vision, and they will keep talking about the vision. You know, they're talking, you can say, write the vision down, make it plain. So they made it plain. They have a vision board, but guess what? They forget that that thing is written as write the vision, make it plain. That's vision board. Then he now said, so that those who see it, they're saying not all your employees will see it. Only those who see. That means a lot of them have eyes they cannot see. So they won't see it. So they won't run with it. So you have a strategy, ambitious strategy, goals. And so many entrepreneurs, I see that they always delay. They delay. They delay. They just believe that the vision is big enough. Don't worry, we'll achieve. But let's restructure. Let's reposition. Let's ensure we do this. They delay structure. They delay system. That one can be in the future. But they have ambitious dreams, ambitious goals, but they don't have, it's unexecutable. Until we find ourselves on the sick bed, whereby we are burned out, sick and tired, then we now know there's a real reason why we need to do something right away. Then another gap is execution gap. If you look at it critically, we naturally, humans, might say, I want to start jogging, but jogging is still a problem. He knows he must jog, but he's not jogging. So he knows he must do it, but he's not doing it.
If they offer acceptance,
they know they must read, but they're not reading. So you can see that every strategy they know they want to use is not translated into any action. They're not working on anything, though they dream about everything. They don't work on anything. They're dreaming about everything. If you hear people's vision, hey, you cannot see their works and know that they are going towards anywhere until you talk to them. So they are talkers. Until you talk to them, you just say, come, is this business you're talking about that people are lackadaisical like this? Or people are not disciplined like this? And this is the vision you're talking about? Hey! So they don't track. So employees can easily pretend that they are working because they don't track execution every day. They don't track it daily. They don't enforce accountability, meaning they don't hold people accountable. They don't track it daily. That's a challenge. Then we now have cultural problem. Hey, this starts from legacy staff. People that have been for long when they started with us, that when we're not ready. Those guys are still at the top. So those guys are saying, when we're not big, we are there. So what's this about? Is it because now? So they're the stumbling block, the bottlenecks. So you see businesses that want to scale, but the lateness is like their culture. People give excuses on. That's why when people start their career in banking. I always talk to people about banking. You start your career in banking. I know some banks many years ago that every month, when you are going for MPR meeting, they can remove you and fire you from there. They can fire you from there. From that, because there's no excuses. People want to collect check in a bank. They say you come and collect 2 billion naira check. Some employees in small businesses will say, sorry, I cannot go. It can't happen in those banks because people will stay to any time to collect the check. Because you cannot come back to the office that you didn't collect the check. So they kill excuses in those banks. And that's why those banks are the first-year banks. You want to rate the first-year banks culture, please, before you start. There was a time I shared this story a while ago in a conference that they were celebrating the best place to work it's the best organization that has the best culture in the banking industry. So I went to go and look at the result they're having with the good culture. They're almost barely making any profit. But the places people didn't rate as companies with good culture are the ones making billions. So I now asked, I said, what's the problem here? Because there's a problem now. Because in Africa, when people don't like to be forced to do what they should do. Now, people in Africa are always forced to read, forced to do everything, forced to do everything, forced to even, if you're not careful, people started growing up forced to brush their teeth, forced to bath. So most times we do things by forcing people. So the culture that runs every day, some employees we have are wheelbarrows, that culture is only right when the boss is around. When the boss is not around, culture is wrong. Some, even when the boss is around, culture is still wrong. They walk in at their time, they give excuses just like that, and they say, I cannot come and kill myself. And that's a challenge. They have the I cannot come and kill myself syndrome. Okay? And that's a problem. You can see that for delivery, you promise customers that you're going to submit something in 2 minutes, but that thing is taking 20 days, and somebody is slowing, somebody has a bottleneck, somebody has rusted attitude, somebody is stalling, somebody switch off phone, say, customer should not call me, I don't want to. So we have attitude problem, cultural problem. That's why, have you not seen why most schools in Lagos that are very expensive? The reason why is that they will go and get the head of school from UK. Immediately you install the head of school from maybe a foreigner, things start working. Things start working. But immediately you take that foreigner away and install an African, if you're not careful, African businesses start dying when it's led by Africans. Somebody even told me many years ago, he said, Jibola, you do know why South Africa is as beautiful people go there? He said, because they didn't get their freedom early. I said, what are you saying? He said, yes, because if they had gotten their freedom early, they might be shit old. Because when Africans build things for Africa, they build bad things for Africa. When a project is manned by Africans, we do poor delivery, poor service. We believe that the customer, we are doing them a favor. The inclination to delivery and excellence is rotten. It's rotten. So we see this problem, culture problem. And that culture problem, when that person that is not delivering well is giving query, the person is still going to meet people at home that will say, do they want to kill you? Why did they give you query? And instead of you checkmating the person that is not delivering well, they still feed that attitude. So lateness, excuses, poor delivery. And that's what leadership needs to do to fix the culture. HR needs to do to fix the culture. And when you are trying to fix the culture, people resist, because culture is one of the most difficult parts of business to fix. The way of life that we are used to is the most difficult to change, even though we know it's not serving us, but we don't want to change, even though we want the outcomes to change, but we don't want the culture to change. How will the outcome change when the culture will not change? So we have a problem of poor delivery, excuses, and lateness. You know, I had this problem with friends for years. I have leaders in Nigeria that will call for leadership meeting, and they will start the program late. Have you seen that before? Whereby you are bringing people together to train them on how to lead, and that same conference that is meant to fix leadership is starting 2 hours, 1 hour behind schedule. And the people in Africa will still sit down in that conference to listen to leadership without example. So we have a major mindset problem that must change. Now, you go in place to places and you are they said the program will start 7 o'clock. And it's from people that are leaders that are doing now. You are invited. But guess what? That program, these not uneducated people. These are consultants. These are people. Yeah. That program will start 10 o'clock. So we don't lead by example. So the words that we speak does not align with things we practice. So we are the ones that know everything, but we do nothing with what we know. Okay? We know everything, but we do nothing with what we know. So think of your organization now. Let's think about it. Out of all these problems, which of these 5 is killing your performance? So let me show you the 5. Let's read it again. Which of these 5 problems we've explained is actually killing your performance? People, leadership, culture, execution, strategy. Let's see which ones are killing performance in your organization. People not delivering, wrong people installed, wrong values, good values, but no competence. So which one do you think is affecting your organization? Which one? So you can see now that there's a challenge. And that brings us back. So let me go back to the first slide. So if you look at the way I'm building, you can see problems. We can see the problems now. So I mentioned 3 categories of businesses. I said we have the sick business, we have the not sick business, we have the thriving business. Can you not see that so many businesses are sick? Because even though this problem exists, are we really willing to fix the problem now? Because now we cannot procrastinate fixing the problem. And that's why a lot of times, a lot of us must try to make our slap and our conferences that are coming ahead. Managers and manage 3 days. Managers and managers 4 days. Slap is 3 days. Intensive leadership retreats. If you have a leadership team, you just have to be there. That's where things, we call it slap. We slap it right and make things work. It's time to make sure we do everything to make our business perform. How do we uninstall these problems and fix this problem? Because these problems cannot stay in your business, and that business cannot perform if these problems exist. Don't forget the name of this conference, of this training, is Driving People and Business Performance. So we see the reasons now why the business that we power or we sit on or we work in is not delivering, is not performing. So let's go to the performance engine. Performance engine model. How do we make this business perform? Then we have the clarity, the capability, the discipline, the accountability problems. So we want to look at the performance engine model: clarity, capability, discipline, and accountability. So if any part of this engine is weak, there's no way your business can survive. Because if anyone, it's just like when you have, let's say, this is delivering at a 10 level, there's clarity of what we want to do. There's clarity 10. Okay, we have 10 here. Why am I not writing, man? Now, let's say we have 10 here, and you have 10 here, and you have 10 here. Now, what's going to happen is, if you have 10 in clarity, we know our direction, we know where we are going. we have the capacity, but guess what? We are zero. We are weak in discipline. And we're 10 in accountability, performance will still collapse. That means you cannot be zero in anyone. You cannot be good in clarity, because if you hire the right people and you don't discipline them, because when we talk about American soldiers, the reason why they're that way is discipline. I remember the words of Socrates that said, an undisciplined man is an insane man. When you're not disciplined, no matter what it is, you've heard things like hard work beats talents when talents don't work hard. Meaning that if you don't put people to discipline, even when they know where you're going, even though there's capability, but nothing works if you don't make it work. Now, if they're disciplined and you don't hold them accountable, they don't have ownership of outcomes, things will still fail. And if all this engine is not there, it's not powered, it's not working well, your car will not move well. So clarity means they know what we're trying to achieve. They know your vision. And they know what success. You can't say, I want you guys to sell well. That's not clear. We want to do well this year. What is clear is, what is sell well? What does it mean? I want you to meet people every day. That's not clear. I want you to meet 20 people and record them every day. Now, that's not also clear enough, but when you meet 20 people, I want you to be able to meet 20 people and get ABC from them. Don't just say meet the people. Say, now the outcome. How do you measure what the meet people mean in your organization? Because meet people will not just mean laugh and collect their number. Meet people might mean have relevant conversation with them, the quality of the conversation. So you need to be clear. What does success look like? And who owns what? You know, during SLAP, I talk a lot about accountability charts. You need to be able to have accountability, that every team member knows what each person is accountable for. In fact, when they're introducing themselves, you should have a culture that people say, my name is Ajibola Bamdele, I'm the head of business, and what I'm accountable for is that we must make 10 billion and we must increase market share to 20,000. That's my accountability. Now, my name is this, I'm the chief audit. I'm accountable to ensure that we reduce our risk from 30% to 5% this year, saving us some number of million. Everybody on your team must know what they're accountable for. Now, the next thing now says that even when they know, do they have the skill? Somebody said, if you don't train them, don't blame them. Do they have the skill to perform? Okay. Do they understand what you expect from them? Are the KPIs clear? And are they trained for results? You know, I was in a church one time and somebody came to give testimony. The person gave testimony that I just got a job. Then I called the person after I said, sorry, is there probation timeline? He said, yes. So what's your plan to make sure you don't lose the job in 3 months? Because getting the job is different from keeping the job. And in Nigeria, there's this default mindset. It's as if when you get the job, it's automatic that you must be confirmed. I don't know whether you've seen that before. People tell you, I just got the job, but I'll be confirmed 3 months' time. I said, how do you know you'll be confirmed? Now, because the deliverables, the results tied to your role, if you don't deliver, you will not be confirmed. And people say things like, can you imagine I've been working in that company for more than 3 months. They've not confirmed me. The question I ask them is that, sorry, do you know what you are meant to do to get confirmed? Yes. Have you done it? No. Why do you think you should be confirmed? So we need to ensure that the team is trained for result. Now, why do you think like President Donald Trump will say we have the best military in the world? He's training. He's not saying it by prophecy. He's saying it by training. Those guys have been trained. American soldiers are trained soldiers. They're not just soldiers by title. They're not soldiers with pot belly. Pot belly. We have soldiers in Africa with pot belly. Have you seen people in Africa in the force? They cannot even match very well again. You know that this person have chop money and it's the force person. So we're on discipline. So we're not trained to win. We're not trained to perform. So an employee is beside you as a line manager. Have you coached that person to win? Most times, have you put them through training that you know they cannot fail? But most times, we just hope they should not fail. How can you hope that staff or people should not fail when you've not trained them not to fail? Now, we tell them, these guys do not make great decisions. Have you trained them on how to make effective decisions? Have you trained them on the science of how you make decisions? But guess what? We expect them to make great decisions. So what are they trained for? Are they trained for results? Because if you miss this out and you get clarity and you don't get capability, they will still fail. Because there's clarity, and this is where some team members get overwhelmed and say, oh, they want to kill me. They want to kill me. Because they don't have the capacity. Okay? They don't have the capacity, but they have the clarity. And if they have the clarity and they have the capacity, there's no way they can deliver results. Because most entrepreneurs don't also believe in training. And I can tell you, the training people got in school is not enough. That training is not rigorous for the kind of excellence you want to push. It's a training whereby mediocrity is celebrated. People don't think out of the box. Employees from school days, if it's not in the handout, they don't believe that it should be asked in an exam. So people don't read. So if they have a lecturer that will give them only 5 pages for a course, that is actually what they want to read. They're excited. The smaller the handout, the more the happier they get. So these employees that we have are built out of a system that is not thorough. And you want them to be thorough in your business, so you need to retrain them. You need to, I call it unlearn, make sure they unlearn the old, and that's where the problem is. How do you install the right culture? Most entrepreneurs don't know how to install the right culture. And that's very essential, because if you don't install and uninstall the old and install the new, and you allow them carry the old into your system that require excellence, that want to drive business performance, they cannot, because the software powering that person is mediocrity. So we need to train them. Now, discipline is important. Discipline is important. Discipline is important. Now, discipline, I call it routine. People say, I don't like routine work. I don't like routine work. But how do you gain mastery without routine, without consistency in action, without doing it over and over again? You don't build any greatness without consistency, without discipline. That's why people talk about the military. Military is consistent when it comes to their rituals, when it comes to because what they do, they don't forget. When you go to NYC camp, you see some disciplines of the military. By so time, dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. And all soldiers obey every time. Actions are not consistent. You do it well today, tomorrow you go to gym, to next tomorrow you miss gym, your body is paining you, I'm not going, then you now revisit gym again after 3 months, you now get ginger, you now make a ginger, you now start again, you now ginger again, you start the gym, after a while, you're not going to the gym, you go back again, Is that not how people live their life normally? Standards are not enforced. This standard of at least they've tried, that's a problem. Standards are not enforced. Deadlines in Africa, hey, deadlines are not respected. When you say we'll start this time, deliver something by this time, that person is thinking you are even playing. He believes that you are just scoping them. When you say this thing must come by this time, that person is not thinking about what will happen. He's not thinking about that deadline at all. So we have deadlines, but the people running that deadlines are dead men. So the deadlines are not real. That's why a tailor is telling you in Africa that you should come and collect your clothes after 3 days. You know by default that thing is 3 months. And that person expects you to know that he said it's 3 days means 3 months. I said, I said 3 days. You know that it's 3 months now. So it's very essential. Deadlines are not expected. So I remember someone, I was giving a gist about time and how we don't respect time. And a good tailor, delivered somebody's wedding gown a day after the wedding. What will you do? And the guy switched off his phone. But after the day, Sunday after your wedding, he on his phone and said, "Auntie, the gown is ready." Now, what people do in Africa is to lie about the day they need it. You must lie. You must tell the person that you need it on Monday, even though when the time you need it is 3 weeks. So you start fighting that person from Monday for 3 weeks. What I do sometimes in Africa, when I really know deadline is very important, is that I will go to the vendor with soldier. So my soldier friend will be in uniform, will now say, "Hello, can you sign the contract that I will collect it in 10 days time?" That guy will be looking at the face of the soldier. The guy will say, "It does not turn to soldier." I said, "No, I want you to sign so that you know that if you don't deliver this thing, you have a problem already." Because and guess what? They always deliver when they see soldier beside me. They know that trouble sleep, yanga go wake up, wait till he go find palava, ego. So the guy is running because of the soldier. He's not running because of his inclination, because of excellence. He's not running because he respects deadline. He's running because he doesn't want me to bring soldier to come and arrest him. I don't understand. Discipline is an alien word in this part of the world. Now, accountability. Who's responsible? Even though when you have meetings and you are talking about different things that are wrong in different meetings, have you seen meetings that you brought all your leaders together and you said, in this office, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong? Guess what? If you don't make sure you assign owners that will sort those things, everybody feels that somebody else will do it. Who the person is that will do it is a spirit we don't even know. Okay, we don't know. So what happens when targets are missed? People don't know. So because when you say you must not miss the target, so I tell people, vendors, whenever you sign SLAs, when you put a deadline, you must put repercussion. If this deadline is not met, you refund us with $5 million, 5 million naira, and let the person sign. So that the person will not just say sorry. Because we are quick to say sorry in Africa. I said sorry now. And the person, I said sorry now. I said, what? Is it sorry? So there must be consequence management in Africa. Whereby, if that person does not come to time, there should be consequence. What should it be? Now, when you transfer a responsibility to someone without consequence, and when I say consequence, I'm not saying it's punishment. Consequence is both reward and also punishment. So consequence is if you do it, you get rewarded. If you don't do it, you get punished. So consequence is not only about punishment. There must be targets. And when people miss targets, what do? I remember one time ago, somebody came to my office and the person borrowed a book. So I told the lady, I said, when are you going to deliver? When are you going to deliver? The lady said, I'll return the book 7 days time. So I said, can you sign? Can you sign you're going to return this book 7 days time? Sign that if you don't return, what should I do? Say, sir, I'm the one that said I want to read the book. I said, yes. Sign that if you don't return and read the book, this is what we should do. And the person said, sir, sir. And I said, okay, should I suggest, will you give me 100K if you don't read the book and return by this time? Then he said, the person said something like, you know what, sir, you kept me on a project and you said I should do that project. So, sir, I can't finish it in 7 days. Can you see that person just wanted to collect the book and let the book be in the car for 7 days? Then I now said, oh yeah, when will you return the book that you have read the book? The person said, sir, if I'll be punished 100,000 naira, then can I get 1 month? Can you see now? The person first said 7 days. But when I apply consequences, the person said, sir, can you give me 1 month? Now, and I said, okay, sign 1 month, but still apply the consequences. And I said, sir, I said, will I still put I said, yes, so you must write consequence. So you know what the person did? The person went to everybody was now coming to meet me. Sir, what happened now? Why are you punishing this girl with 100,000? No, I didn't punish her. She's the one that said she wanted to read the book and I wanted to be an accountability manager. And I said, if he doesn't finish the book and return the book by the time she said she would do it, she will pay a certain amount of money. And I said, tell me weeks or tell me 6 weeks or tell me 1 month. I'm not interested in the timeline. I'm interested in you keeping to the time you said you will. That person, while reading, will tell everybody that I don't want to let them punish me. That's what the person was saying all around. So people, and that's not been hard. Now, holding people accountable is not being hard on people because those people will not actually meet your deadline anyway, and your customers will go somewhere else anyway. Okay, so there's this eatery now that I will mention. This eatery, normally their snacks is always ready by 8 when they open. Currently, consistently, one of the branches, their snacks don't get ready by 11 because the people come late. They don't start cooking again by 6 or 5. They started cooking. People that will cook will just start resuming by 8 and 8:30, while the customer requires that food to be ready by so time. So gradually, customers are no longer going to that eatery. They're going to another one that can keep to time. Even though their pastries are good, so by the time they release the pastries, nobody is buying the pastry anymore. Okay? Nobody is buying because everybody that needs the pastry as breakfast, I've moved on. So what they now do is that those girls are now eating because they have a policy that they don't sell stale pastries. So those girls that didn't come early too are the ones now eating the pastries. They're now eating the pastries every day. Hey, are you getting what I'm saying? The same people that didn't open early to make sure customers can buy the pastries on time are the ones eating the pastries based on the policy of the company, not selling stale pastries. They're still the one packing the pastries home and eating the food. How will they come early? Because they said customers didn't come. So they will promise their brothers at home that don't worry, I'll pass snacks, I'll bring snacks when I'm coming home because we won't have sold the snacks. So now, how would that business survive? Think about it. Customers are leaving. They're not serving breakfast again for the pastries. They will still produce that pastries. The same number the company said they should produce. What should you do to the manager that is heading that branch? Very soon they say that branch is not producing anymore, it's not making money anymore. Then they will shut down the branch. That's how dreams does not scale. So, and this is what is happening. You'll be shocked that that's what is happening in most businesses around the world, around Africa. So let's do something very fast. Let's call where your company is. When it comes to clarity, are people clear? Whereby goals are clear, KPIs are clear, measures are clear. Are people trained to perform? Are you sure they are trained to deliver the results you want them to deliver? Are they disciplined? Is there discipline installed? I mentioned discipline. Are there standards enforced? SOP? Deadlines respected? You need to read a book, please. You need to read this book. The Art of War for Managers. The Art of War for Managers. Art of War. If you're a business that you shout when people don't deliver, I can tell you for free, your business cannot do well. You need discipline. You need to hold people accountable for results. So can you clear the screen? Great. Okay. Clarity, capability, discipline, accountability. Can we rate where we are in our organization? If you rate 1 to 10, where are we today? Sun Tzu, The Art of War for Managers by Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu, discipline, accountability, capability, clarity. KPIs are clear. People know what they're meant to do. The measures are clear. How they will, because that's why people greet their bosses too much. Hello, sir. Good day, sir. How are you, sir? I greet you, sir. Let me carry your bag, sir. What is that one about? Is that respect? That's not respect. Discipline. And the more you discipline people in Africa, the more they stop greeting you. They don't greet you again. That's why we must ensure that thing is in our culture from beginning. Discipline. The more you hold people accountable for results, when you don't achieve, what happens? What happens? That's a very important thing to ask yourself. That's why people talk about, everyone I've consulted for, 85% of them talk about lack of ownership, sense of ownership. And I tell them we need to help install accountability system in their company. Discipline. And now instill the culture. Sometimes the people you have around might not be able to do that for you. Sometimes, because if you are part of the problem, you might not be able to fix the problem. You're part of the problem, you might not be able to fix the problem. Let's move on. So people performance. People performance. Business does not perform. Only people perform. People make businesses perform. Businesses itself don't perform. Okay, good. Before we go into the parts of this training. I guess we just quickly take a 10 minutes break. With this 10:50, we're going to continue back exactly 12 o'clock. We take 10 minutes break for people to walk around, and we continue exactly 10 minutes to this time. So protocol, we'll take a 10 minutes break for people to stretch and to get around. Then we continue exactly by 12 o'clock. Okay, thank you for that 10 minutes break. I guess we're moving towards wrapping up the session and trying to see in the next 1 hour what we can do. Now we've done a lot. We've started a conversation about where Africa is, and we should stop talking about Africa has a high unemployment rate. People are just employed below, a certain line. Low income, no structured businesses are more in Africa. A typical 80% of Africans want to just start their businesses, high level of entrepreneurship, but starting businesses that cannot scale. That's the issue we have. Okay, so we're looking at different areas of performance that should be fixed and sorted out. And now we are on people performance. People performance. Businesses don't perform, people do. So when you say a business is not doing well, the major cause is the people. And the people includes the leadership. So we're not talking about trying to focus on only the employees, because it's systemic. When a business is not doing well, it's a systemic conversation. It's not one department that leads to that. It's either the leader's leadership capability or capacity has expired, or the people capability cannot power the business, or the culture. And we've looked at different areas that will be fixed if businesses will do well. Now when you look at the people, now if you hire right, you hire people that have the skill, and you hire people that have the will. Now, if you don't create the environment as an entrepreneur to drive performance, they will not perform. The multiplication effect will happen, whereby if any one of these is zero, multiply it, it nullifies others. That's why someone that is not doing well in an unstructured business, whereby no accountability, nobody is disciplining anybody, will leave the business and move to an organization that is disciplined, and that person will start doing well. So if entrepreneurs hire good people, that means you hired a good seed, but you're planting the seed in a bad culture, in a bad environment, whereby there are no the right culture, no right discipline, that person will not perform. So there are three things that will be right if performance will happen, if people will perform. They must have the right skills. They must have the right will, right motivation. So when we talk about skills, the technical competence, they understand their role. And when I talk about understanding their role, I mean understand the role content and the role context. They're not just only understanding the role, they're understanding the role content, and they also understand the role context. How does it fit in to the company's strategy? And they also develop their skills. Okay, they also develop their skills. Sorry, can you see my screen? Is it moving?
Not yet,
Yes,
sir.
please.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It was moving, good. So So technical competence, role understanding, and continuous development. There's this place I was called to come and give a speech, and I said something there. I remember it very well. I said, whenever you have a talent that you hire and you give a role, a JD, and that person does not suggest ways to improve on that JD, just like when you look at the parable of the talent, the guy was given a talent and the guy returned it the same way they gave. They call that guy a wicked talent, a wicked person, because he's not improving. He didn't improve that work. So we need to, people that are skillful are people that they have the technical competence, they understand the role, content, and context, and they want to develop themselves. Things are changing. It's not the days of AI that things are really changing. What used to work is no longer working. And what is working now might not work again. So we need to continually develop ourselves. The talents, the managers, the entrepreneurs, everybody need continuous evolution. Now, the will, the motivation, because if somebody can do the job, but will not do the job, so the skill is can do. The will is will do. Can do. Does not mean will do. So if that person you've given the job to has not taken ownership of both the activities and outcome, that's two different things. Now, the reason why the company came up with a JD that call a customer and say this every day is because so that the customer can buy. But the customer has not been buying. You've been doing exactly what the company said you should do, whereby you call the customer and you say the same thing, but the customer is not buying. Then you now say, is the company, oh, I'm doing what they said I should do. When that happens, it's because you transfer the activities to the person, but you didn't transfer the outcomes. So you need ownership. So if people will not take ownership, like I was telling someone many days ago, okay, I met a lady many years ago. The lady left a company because they moved her from operations to sales. And when they moved her from operations to sales, and I asked, why did you, she resigned. And I said, why did you resign? She said, I don't like sales. But the lady met me like 3 weeks after and said, please, Jibola, in case you want to buy suits, I now sell suits. I said, what? But you said you don't like sales. Why are you selling to that? But this one is my own. So there's a lot people in Africa will not do for others. So our name is not written on it. So we have a problem. When people drive cars anyhow, they say it's not his car. When it's not his own. But we know that if it's his own, in fact, there's some friends that you know that their presence and you're your best friend, that their presence in the business will not make them do well. But you kept them and nobody's flagging it. But guess what? If they just change the ownership of the business to that person that have been keeping quiet, that person will fire all his friends, our friends. Why? Because at that point in time, the person has now taken ownership. In fact, in this part of the world, when you take ownership, people say, is it your business? What would they give you? Why are you concerned? Because we want things fail. So there's no will. There's no commitment. And when there's no commitment to the goals of the business, there's no way there can be achievement. Commitment brings achievement. So most times people have the skill, but they don't have the will. Then we move to the third one. If they have the skill and the will, but the leadership style, the system, the culture cannot support the goals you want to achieve, then they're going to still fail. So you cannot have goodwill, skills, and be bad when it comes to environment. And that's why the leaders need to learn. I was talking at one of the leadership conferences I was called to facilitate, and I asked the leaders there, how many of you know the leadership style you use to get result. Nobody knows. And guess what? Leadership style, you cannot determine. No leader, any leader that says, this is the way I lead is a bad leader. Why? Because leadership is situational. You cannot lead in a way. The way you led A is different from the way you will lead B, and different from the way you lead C. So if you're leading the same way, then you are a bad leader, because you must tailor leadership to the people maturity. So a leader that does not know how to diagnose people maturity cannot lead, cannot prefer the right leadership. And a leader that says, this is how I lead, is a bad leader. So you don't determine how you lead until you see the team, because how you lead different teams to achieve a goal will be different based on their maturity and where they are. So the culture you need to install will be different to achieve the goals you want to achieve. The culture you need to install, the culture of performance. So if the environment is not fit, even when the skill is there, that means this is a leadership imperative. The skill, get the right people. Will, probably look for what motivates them, or try to make sure you hire people that love what you do, or sell the vision to them. You know, they're motivated. But now, create the environment that can make them survive. Because when they don't have clarity, they won't do well. When there's no consequence, they won't do well. When there's no leadership, they won't do well. When there's no measurement, they won't do well. So you need these four to be in place if they will do well. People don't perform by chance. People perform by design. So performance is not something you just see. When you see anything work in any society, people are making it work. Things don't just work on its own. A lot of us are quick to say, hey, this is not clean, this is not this. But some people must make it work. So we're quick to condemn. And most places are starved of the right people. That's why things don't work.
Sorry, Mr.
When
sorry, sir.
Someone in an organization...
Can you take the slide back? I'm so sorry.
It's not, I will. I will. It's not making things work, then there's a problem. If somebody is not making, somebody is the one causing that. If any employee is not working, check the managers. I've seen situations whereby people hate the company, but they like their managers. Have you seen that before? Whereby the managers is every time in their parties, but people hate the company. I can't understand it. I can't deal. Because the manager is the one that's meant to provide the right leadership, the right culture, the right system. And if that person will not like anything, that person should not like the manager and like the company. But if people like the manager and hate the company, there's a problem already. You have bad managers already. So people don't perform by chance. People perform by design. If you have to keep shouting, reminding, and chasing, you don't have a people problem. When you see every time in your company you are shouting at team members, I tell you, I've been through this. We're celebrating our 20 years anniversary in May, and I can tell you that shouting, reminding, chasing people does not solve any problem. It's not. So those people that you are shouting at another is not a people problem. Those people will go to another company and they will do well. Okay? They will do well. You have a system problem. So let's really look at 4 important systems to install as I wrap up my session. What are the 4 most important systems to install? Now, we have the goal system, execution system, measurement system, reward system. Let's look at the goal system. You must always have clear targets, define KPI, make sure the priorities that people are working on is exactly aligns with the priority of the business. So the goal system, people should know why they're on a team. And how do you install this? When I want to do goal system, when we set the goal, I make sure that all team members know the goal of each individual. You should know the KPI. We should know what this person needs to do, why this person's goal aligns with the company's goal. There must be line of sight, proper line of sight. Now, execution system. This is where most businesses fail because there are no daily check-ins. That's why if you've done Scrum, you see, we talk about daily Scrum, daily check-ins, weekly review meetings. Daily, so that means you are checking the daily outcomes, you are reviewing the weekly outcomes, you are also checking. There's a tracker, checking, feeding people's involvement in the business. Sorry, if these things are not there, there's no way you can run a beautiful business. If you don't have daily action tracker, weekly tracker, execution tracker, forget it. It's going to fail. That means you're not executing well. And this is why people hide under presentism, because this execution system is failing. Now, what gets measured gets improved. Make sure you measure the right things. Things that will not add value to the goal, don't measure it. Things that are not adding value to the goals, don't measure it. It's not important. Make sure also whatever decision you are making are data driven. I talk about data managers. I say it almost every conference that if you start any meeting without data, it's just a nonsense meeting. There's no English. We don't speak English in business. It's data driven conversation. So if you cannot translate employees' work to data and say this is what you add, this is the value you added this week, and we can converse that way day to day, you don't have a business. It will fail. People should know what you are measuring. People should know what's important to you. All those things must be embedded in the person's performance tracker, measurement system. Then reward. People should know what they will do and what they will get. But you will not say, because we won't reward you, you will now measure performance. That's why I talk about performance monitoring. You need to monitor performance. Don't just do performance appraisal. The appraiser looks at retrospective. Look at things that we failed. We don't want to fail. We want to have performance monitoring. This enforced standards is very essential. The reason why people don't drink alcohol, drink and drive, they are very careful abroad, is because if you drink and drive and they catch you, you're going to jail. But in Nigeria, at the park, when people are taking public transport, is where they're selling what they call it in our name, we call it paraga. That's where people are selling. That's where the person that will drive you will be drinking before driving you. Because there's no standards. So until standards are enforced, people don't do what is right. So if you have a standard and it's not enforced, it's as good as you don't have a standard. And managers are the ones that don't enforce standards. Because HR sometimes can set the direction. The line managers, and I don't want to talk about my line managers so much today, how to improve on line managers' function. Very essential. If nothing happens when performance drops, performance will keep dropping. That's the consequence. If we drop performance today and nothing happens, and they drop performance tomorrow and nothing happens, I can tell you that performance will be dropping every day. They get used to culture of dropping performance, and things will never be fixed. So there will be consequence for dropping performance, or else nothing will ever work again. Because people that are dropping performance, there are no consequences. Now, my concern is if you run a business that you don't fix performance, the challenge of that business is going to be that other people that are doing well will stop doing well. Why? Why should they do well when people that are not doing well are also rewarded equally? So there's no standard being enforced. So leadership defines performance. Your business will not outperform your leadership. Set the right direction, build the right system, enforce discipline, drive accountability. When you put anybody in a role and say you are the leader of this department, this is the essential JD of that guy, of the lady. It sets direction. The person builds systems. So you can't just say, HR did not give me system. No, they build systems to make sure that department, they do things well. Because every department has a leader, even though you have a senior leader, that's the CEO. But CEOs as an executive team, the executive leadership must build system, and the people must build system that align with the system. Everybody managing people must run a system to ensure things get done. And discipline must be enforced. It will not just happen. Drive accountability. So leaders set direction, they build system, they enforce discipline, they drive accountability. So what leaders must stop doing, don't stop over talking. You talk. Our vision is, our vision is, our vision is. They will start calling Mr. Vision. And you very soon you turn to television because you talk too much of vision. Vision, my vision is to do, my vision is to do, calm down. Avoid, so many leaders to stop avoiding hard decisions. Hard decisions. That's why in SLAP, we teach people how to make rigorous decision, not ruthless decision. Rigorous, not ruthless. Now, don't give excuse to poor performance. People are not doing well. Don't give excuse to poor performance. What leaders should start doing, measure everything. Measure everything. Follow up aggressively. Make decisions fast. Someone is not aligning, is spreading politics, is spreading bad culture. Make decisions fast. Most times, most leaders are very slow in making decisions, and I can tell you that's what killed the business. Make decisions very fast. Lastly, be fanatical about execution and define what really matters. Put a name on every task. Measure everything that moves. Everything that moves in your company, measure it. That's the people. If it's not scheduled, it won't happen. That means when people say, I'll do it, sir. When? By what time? What time are you going to deliver? If you don't schedule, that thing will not happen. You need to schedule time. People will do it at their time, and their time might be 3 months. Whereby you need something in 1 week, schedule. And there will be consequence for not meeting the schedule. So that people will know that the schedule is the schedule. If it's not reviewed, it will improve. That's why we do retrospective. Leaders must do retrospective, ask questions. What didn't work? What worked? What can we do differently? Keep checking on retrospective. Daily check-ins, weekly check-ins, monthly check-ins. You need to do it. NPR, DPR, QPR. Every PR you can do, you need to do reviews. Africa does not need more ideas. Africa needs execution. Africa needs to turn the raw materials and make it better. Africa needs the small businesses to be able to scale. Africa needs leaders to improve in their leadership skills. Africa needs better leaders. Africa needs better team members. Africa needs better people. And that's where Africa can change. When you leave here, what will you change immediately? And what will you stop tolerating as a CEO? It's very essential for this question to be answered if our businesses will change. Thank you very much for making this training. I guess it's been a time of exposition. I'm looking forward to having you guys. We have our upcoming sessions. If you want to join, if you're in Abuja, if you're in Lagos, you can make inquiries from our team. You join our programs. Our SLAP is coming. It's a 3 days immersive session for senior leaders in Lagos. It's happening in April. We have a Managers and Manage happening. We have a conference in Abuja for CEOs also happening in April. Please kindly make inquiries about all of these things and join us. And let's take this conversation to the next level. I wish you well as you make a commitment to drive your business and make your business be the solution to Africa's problems. Thank you for making time and looking forward to seeing you in future meetings.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I don't know if you can ask
Thank you very
questions.
much.
Yeah, you can ask questions, please. Just a few minutes. Yeah. We still have like 4 minutes.
Okay. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Adebi Yoandi. You took us recently, slots. You took us, I'm the head of HR for slots.
Oh,
So you came for our training, sir. So nice to meet you once again,
nice to
sir.
meet you again.
So I have a question, sir. How do I manage team members that are not ready to put in their best? Because I'm someone that don't always like to be seen as a very like, oh, she's a bad person or she's wicked or she's enforcing or something like that. So how do I manage someone that a team that is not ready to put in their best? Because you give them work to do, they will be so reluctant to do them, to ask. It will be very scary to ask you that, okay, what have you done? What have you done, or what have you brought in, or so? But they won't bring anything, they won't even add to the job or anything. It's just overwhelming. Like I do most of all the work. So how do I manage such situations, sir?
So you need to have a team meeting with your people and let there be clear direction of clarity of what they're meant to do. Now, when they are clear, let each person, I mentioned that day also, you have the team meetings and each person should be able to say what's expected by each person. Let's say, for example, role clarity. We are 5 on a team. Each person must be able to tell me what other 4 are meant to deliver. That's the first thing. Not only the role holder alone. Let it be that each team understands what each person's role is on the team. You must be clear when it comes to that. Not only you to the person alone. Let all the team members be able to say what this accountability this person is meant to deliver. So your accountability framework must be very clear. If that is done, then you need to also build systems around what exactly are your SOPs, what are they meant to do, what quality, what standards are you trying to enforce? And people that they should also know that, okay, if you drop the ball, this is what dropping the ball means. So if you don't do this, and all of these things I mentioned earlier, if it doesn't get measured, it cannot get done. So when those measurements are clear, and I know that this day now, I graded you that you added 20%, and anybody can grade. You know how we grade. On this team, this person scored 20% today. Now, I also advise that you have a dashboard whereby people score based on what they're meant to do, it's scored. It is clear to everybody how everybody's moving towards their goal daily. And this tracker is very essential. You need to learn how to create the trackers so that it's feed into every meeting. So every meeting now we can see what people are putting in the business daily towards where you're going. Now, when you're having that team meeting, it's clear that anybody also that drops the ball, there must be consequence. You know one thing? I tell you, until we start managing consequences, people will not understand the language of performance. This that you don't want people to, and you saying, okay, so that's for example. I tell one of my children was pretty smaller than what they are. I'll tell them, don't do ABC. And guess what? If they do it, I'll tell you earlier on, if you do ABC, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to ensure that you don't watch TV for 1 month. I'm going to lock you in the dark room for 3 hours. When I can't get back, they've done it. What will I do as a leader? I'll carry them as they're crying. So, daddy, it won't happen again. I'll be singing, I love you, baby. I love you, baby. Now, that means you don't have to get angry with your team. And you're not getting angry. It's not the issue. Anger does not change people. You need to break it down and do what you said you would do. He would do what he says he will do. So whatever you say you would do is what you should do. So as you're taking them in the plan, and as a plan, you've carried them along, they're aware of the consequence. Why did they break it? Because they know that you're a leader that would not also do it what you do now. Until you start putting the consequences management, it's going to make some people sometimes, if the consequence is a query, please never make the consequence debit. Don't debit employee salary. The consequence should be disciplinary, should be someone, if it's suspension, if it's whatever it is, if it's you having tags, when you have three warnings, you get this, you get that, you lose your promotion when you accumulate. So maybe you have accumulated this year, you can't get promoted. Let it be clear and do it. Please, when you do it for the first person and you do it for the second person, then people will understand the language. But if you don't, if you keep shouting, we will do it, though, we will do it, we will start it, they will not, they will keep trying you. Humans are not going to change by threatening them. You don't threaten humans. You do what you said you would do. So it's a part of why one day you have to make sure you attend our next conferences. Push it, you come and learn more on how to do these things. You need to be there.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Hold on, sir. Please, I have a question.
I have people's hands up. Ruth, please, can you please?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. I have a question. A quick question. So, you stated that when you were talking about I think negligence or indiscipline, you said something about lateness, and in my company, my director, the executive director, has instructed the HR team to, she has been pushing for us to debit or treat lateness, the staffs that are late. So while discussing it with one of the senior management and some other people, someone stated that, oh, the company doesn't pay overtime. So yes, we come late, but we keep our work going until 7, 8, and the company doesn't pay overtime, but they still want to debit us for coming late. And I didn't really have what to say. So I want you to throw a light on. I want to hear from you how to handle such a situation.
Okay, so now let me tell you why people stay overtime. Let's address this overtime issue. Now we need to look at, as HR, you need to look at the work design itself. Can the work be completed? People's work, can it be completed within the timeline you've set? That means you need to go back to look at why people are staying overtime. Now, it's possible that people wasted 3 hours or 4 hours in your day and they didn't catch up on something, and that's why they started doing it before going home. Especially when your company is outcome oriented. People waste, it's possible that person is even online doing other things for 4 hours and is doing overtime in your business. You need to understand that 8 to 5. If it's 8 to 5, are your employees, do you have the deliverable and you understand the roles, such as it's not a job that they can finish 8 to 12 and you're keeping them 8 to 5. Or it's not that they need 8 to 10 midnight and you're saying 8 to 5. You need to look at the work again, the role content and what is meant to be done. Now, if it's something that employees can finish 8 to 5, but the employee is the one not finishing to 8 to 5, two things you might do. Let your performance standard be very clear, what you want to be done every day. Now, if you're outcome oriented, not activist oriented, employees that did not start early, probably they started playing and not do what they are meant to do, or not look for ways to do it fast, they know already that you are more of outcomes and they must deliver on that outcome that day. So that's not overtime. I've given you something that okay, you're meant to type 50 pages and all your colleagues are can type 50 pages, but you type 50 pages after doing overtime of 4 hours. That means you need 12 hours. That means two things. We might have to replace you. We have to replace you because you're not the kind of employee that can type 8 to 5. But if you want to still stay, then you can do 4 hours at your time. That's to do well. That's not overtime. People spending more on their job that they should have finished between 8 to 5 is not overtime. But because you are outcome oriented, so you need to understand, what are we really talking about overtime? Is it presentism that turned to overtime, or people not jumping on their work? So you need to first do that first and redesign the role so that people can finish their work between 8 and 5. If they can finish their work between 8 and 5, then you must enforce that timeliness. That will erode culture. So that's why I said you have to travel within your company first, look at what you've put in place, what you've installed. And if you install the right thing, if you see that this work is something people can do, cannot finish, redesign the work, then make sure it's something they can do. Then if somebody is not, so the convention of don't come late and because we now stay overtime is the reason why I'm not coming late. Man, they're killing your culture. Your company's culture can never be fixed. So you need to go back to the role design, make as HR, make sure that you look at the role, task given to people, look at people that performed before, look at the competencies, what they need to have to do it, look at the role, make sure there's clarity on what must be delivered and you don't give people what they cannot finish within a particular time. So when that is done, go and implement your culture. And anybody that not stay overtime, that's not overtime. It's your choice and you must finish your outcome. So it's not about you are going home without finishing your job. You must make sure you design the job people can finish and they must finish their job before they go home. So if they have to finish their job by 5 hours after, that's a problem, that's no overtime. That person chose to spend that 5 hours, use 5 hours in the workplace to do something or being slow on the job. So most really understand what is overtime. Is it presentism extended or what? Or deliverable? Does it come with outcomes? Or presentism being exempted? But what I've seen in most companies I've consulted for is present, because people don't even know what employees must deliver every day. So because when you don't know what they must deliver every day, when you see them 3 hours after work, they're overtime, you think they're overtime. They're not overtime. There are people that are overtime. But most 80% of people that say they do overtime, they're not actually doing overtime because it doesn't lead to productivity. I've worked with someone one time many years ago before that. The lady is one that closed like 9. The lady, have you not seen people that go to reading room in school that they will not read? But they're the one that will stay in the reading room and nothing is entering. And you're wondering what's he doing in the reading room. They go to one and they say they're doing today break. Nothing is breaking in their results. So it's because of those guys are not reading. They might go to reading room with the phone and they're taking their phone to read it and they say they're saying. So you need to understand what are people doing what they're meant to do. So HR needs to intervene in looking at the job and redesign it. That's my answer. But you cannot change that culture. You must uphold the time. Okay. Michael?
Thank you, sir.
I can't hear you well.
Hold on a second. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, good, good. So my question is this. Looking at the entire leadership and managers and everything, and how it ties to accountability, discipline, and all of that, and the outcomes, results, and everything. My question is this: what role does the temperament type of a person, what role does that temperament play, or to what extent does it hate or diminish or reduce the propensity for one to be able to achieve all of this as a leader?
I can't hear you well.
Why
I
I'm
don't know
saying
whether
this
you can hear you. I can't hear you well. Something is wrong with your sound.
hold on. Let me connect.
I can't hear you well. Okay, let's have Kike Lomo.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you, Ms. Famdelia, so much. There's a great impact you had still made this afternoon. But I just want to ask a question, and the question is, where you have a space, you also needed to review, where we have like a handbook, you reviewed all that. The culture is there, but it's something on uninstalling and all. You had to uninstall a few things. You had to install also. But in the area of discipline, you get to discipline people. You don't discipline them based on maybe deducting from source and all. That is not even in place. But at the point where you suspend people 1 month, you would have started with warnings, right? Verbal warnings. You have reason to also sit with whoever has defaulted, with the leadership to also have maybe like a second level of maybe after a second offense. Maybe let's do this with the person. We all sit down, we speak with the person. At some point, maybe suspension is the third level or fourth level. You give the person suspension 1 month. The same person will still have maybe, you just have some people in a system where 3, 4, 5 people in a system where they're consistently messing up. I'm sorry, I'll use that word now. And maybe you suspend. So everybody knows that you don't use your phone, just like you said, in the library. You don't use your phone at some point. Maybe you're in a leadership meeting or you're in a staff meeting. But over time, you now start hearing the system is difficult. The system is making it difficult for people. People are resigning. People are this, people are that. And I'm wondering, how do you go about this, ensuring that you have a proper system if you don't suspend, if you don't discipline people? So I just need you to shed more light because of your experience, because you actually said quite a number of things that I have actually experienced on the job, right? So I just need you to shed more light because you also made mention of discipline. So how do you go about the discipline where you now start hearing some managers saying the system is difficult, the system is hard? So I need,
Okay.
should I use the word help?
Yeah. So what in my own experience, what I've seen happen when this happened, and I'm diagnosing the system, and I see what you've just said now, the first thing I would do is to first diagnose those people leading those teams. Because most times we've promoted the wrong leaders into roles. It's not the people that is the problem. The leaders that you've put together are the ones using the people against the system. Because the people they see every day that are supervisor are the ones that don't buy into that thing. Because what those supervisors support is what the people would do. People are they're social beings. So what the supervisor is tolerating is what is making those people get rotten. So it starts from the top first of what diagnose. Who among our leaders should not be there? Who among our leaders have been promoted because normally that person has not been part of your system before, does not align with your values, is not seeing things through your lens about why that thing should be there. That person will not uphold when you are going. So even when you will say it, there's a lacuna between the top, what they want, and the HR, what they've designed, and the line managers, what they are doing. So it is not the people first. It is the managers first. So we start from the managers. You see, if the managers uphold the discipline, the people will. So now the second thing is that, of course, if you have promoted the right managers, and that means you have a right bench. Because if I promote the right manager, and truly managers are meant to ensure that their team are effective. So most times in the business, if you have a 10-man team, you make sure the coach, which is the manager that is coaching them for performance, does not have task. The task is to make sure all the team perform. The manager himself should not have task so that he can do the work of growing the people, of looking at the quality of their work, of doing what they're meant to do. So if the leaders don't do what they are meant to do and they're not enforcing standards, then you start from the leaders. Don't start from the people. When you start leaders, you see, because you cannot easily suspend the people, because especially when you don't have surplus, your bench is not strong. Because if you keep suspending, how will the work get done? Because every single time if you suspend people, you feel it in the business. So the man hours that you need to put in also will suffer, and that might cascade into higher risk. So that's only when you have built your bench well, then you can suspend for replacement. Because we look at what's the business also, the customer impact. What's the impact of the customer when you suspend that person? So do you have good replacement? Now, what system have you put in place? So all of these factors are reasons why people don't end up suspending and take nonsense. So, because those systems have not been put in place to make sure there's business continuity when you need to suspend. Because when you need to suspend and you're rationalizing it, it's because there's also key man risk problem in your system that you need to also fix. So all of these things must be done. So we need to check in all of these things and also check in the leader. Is the leader upholding? Then if that leader is not, uninstall the leaders that are not. The business will still run. Start re-engineering your leaders first. In fact, when there's a discipline that you want to install, it is leaders you should focus on first until they align. The people cannot align. So everybody that has a people that are in high impact role, there's nothing HR can do if you don't first fix leadership issues, because they are the ones that cause commotion and cascade that commotion down into the system, and that system start getting bad because there are Judas on that team. There are Judas on that team. So, and that's what happens, and they will scatter the culture. But if nobody can get into the leadership team and they're strong and they're speaking the same language, I can tell you every employee responds. The problem of most businesses when people come late or not is those leaders that are being installed at the top. And when I say at the top, either they interface with the people, but you call them their leader. Those are the challenge. People respond when things are right. So if that is done, I know that this issue of people protesting, angry, is a leadership problem. So some leaders are pretending as if they are with you, but they're not with you. That's why it's
absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Sorry,
you.
can I sorry,
No,
I
no,
got cut
you have
off
to
by my
say
network.
Just hold on,
sorry,
Michael.
can you
Just hold
say?
on, Michael.
Yeah.
Hold on, Michael. We'll call you later. We'll call you soon. Hold on, Michael. So, Kike, are you okay with that? So we can move to the next person.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm
let's call.
okay.
Good. Let's call
I was
Michael again.
also going
Michael,
to ask that. Sorry.
go on
I
now.
was going to ask, is it possible we get a recording of what
No.
we read? I know.
No,
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you
you're
very
welcome.
much.
Yeah. Okay, Michael.
Okay, so let me just summarize my question. So, you talked about discipline, accountability, and result outcomes and the rest. And there are people who, by default, by virtue of their top performers, by default they become supervisors, and you realize that their top performers, they have people they're supervising, but they are peace lovers by virtue of their temperament, right? And trainings here, trainings there, trainings, and train them how to take top decisions, take them how to do this, train them on this. But by their design, it seems like a hopeless situation because this comes with some nuances, right? And to my knowledge, I think it's kind of traced to maybe personality types. What is the link, the nexus between personality types, which is the choleric, the sanguines, and the rest of it, and how it ties to some of these metrics that you've mentioned for performance, for leadership, and the rest of it? How can one navigate all of that and still try to have those people in the systems and not rock the boat?
Okay, so I guess I see into the question you're asking. There's this thing of productivity. You started by saying some things that when we take it, there's a training we do called Managers That Manage, and that's actually what that training is for. It's a 4-day program, and 4 day, 8 to 5, 8 to 5, 9 to 5, 9 to 5 for 4 days. And what we're dealing with are these managers you're talking about for 4 days, because there's some skills they lack, and you know that. You don't have to be a troublemaker or a peace lover to be an effective manager. Management is just doing ABCD. So either you're a peace lover, I just do ABCD. If you are not, okay, so let's say, for example, as simple as you have a system that when people don't align, your system is that you must send them a mail. Now, the system is that don't shout, send them a mail. Hello, Kunle, we had the meeting with you today. I instructed you to do ABC, but you didn't do it. Though I've had a meeting with you to clarify all of these things, but just ensure that ABC, and if you want me to help you, I'm here to support you, and blah, 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 blah. So your company has a system that is how you end correction. Even though there's been discussion, there's a lovely discussion, how do I help you? But for every correction, your company has it as it must be documented. When standards fails, and when the leader also sees that the leader's KPI is tracked and standards are failing, and is now saying my team member is the one that didn't do it well. Of course, where is the scorecard as the person sent a mail? So no leader can, if you've not sent a mail, there's a standard that says if you don't send a mail to this person and copy HR, then that particular correction is not valid. So now the leader's scorecard keep dropping, and you have performance review meeting with the leader that is not doing anything. And because let me give you an example. If a leader is doing 1 billion and he got promoted because always acing his goal, 1 billion. Now that leader is going to be made a leader to do 10 billion, but we give him 10 people. And the goal of leadership is make others you. That's all. Let others be able to perform like you. So if you now are lenient with them, your KPI has moved away from individual performance. So you saying, this leader, he was a performer before, but as a manager, he's no longer a performer. Because that leader will not make those people do well. And so in the KPI of the new manager now, the manager might be doing 3 billion. 3 billion, maybe each person is doing 300, 300, 300, 300, 300. That manager is not doing well as a manager. So you need to also have this conversation with that manager so that the manager knows that managing is not a title. Managing is people delivery. And are there consequences when your people don't deliver? Because if there are no consequences when people don't deliver, then that manager will not know how to do the right thing. But you see, if there are consequences when people don't deliver, and because most times, most companies also, because that person delivered as an individual, will now be using primacy error to say, this person was a performer. But you see, was as an individual, now as a manager, is no longer a performer. This conversation will be clear. You must tell the people and have performance review conversation, can we demote you? Because now your manager KPI is low, but your individual KPI is high. So do you want to stand alone? We call it ruthless conversation. No, we call it rigorous conversation. What do you want us to do going forward? Do you want, so let it be that the person is bringing solutions. Don't be the one, because when you have performance conversation, I teach people on how to coach during performance conversation. What are you asking me? What should we do? Let the person tell us what to do. So I won't say, so now it's affecting your team. You cannot manage. So what should we do? Should we leave you and not deliver on this? That person will start thinking. Until we make that person think and also be part of the decision making that you cannot do, so that means you cannot be a leader. Now, are you willing to end like an individual? This conversation will be very clear. Let people know that you're not paying them to manage because they are oldest in the system, or that is about building others to perform. That's what we reward you for. And if others are not growing under you, in your performance scorecard, you can see that people development order is maybe 50 and you are scoring 10. It shows that manager can never be promoted again. Let that person see that if it's not on 80, he will not get promoted, will not get rewards again. That person will calibrate. Because you did, but if those systems are not set to condition that manager to calibrate, that manager will not still calibrate. He will still be talking about, hey, I'm not a kind person. We're not saying you should not be kind. But let's set the system and let us tie all the reward that person has gotten as an individual, tie it back to managerial performance. And what the person, two things will happen. That's why you must always build benchmark. Two things will happen. That person might decide to resign, or that person might decide to do well. So the reason why people don't install the right system is that they're not even prepared for the person to resign. And that's the problem. So we start taking nonsense. And that person will now become a good individual in managerial position. And that's what you don't want. So we just have to go back to the drawing board, resign what we reward, and let the person say that. Let the person even ask that. So abroad, people ask for demotion. Sorry, I cannot play my role now very well. Can you just take me back to the old role? And we just withdraw the Land Cruiser. We give you Keke Marwa, because that's what you were driving before. So all those things must be tied to. And let it be clear. They're not giving people based on title. You're giving people based on delivery. Until this is clear to the people, they know that there's no free lunch in Freetown. Okay, so that's what I feel you should do differently. So that's what can correct this culture and make people do well on their own. And I know a lot of these kind people around. Everybody is kind, but the business needs delivery. So we want you to be kind, but make people like you. That's all. We don't want you to change, but if kindness can do it, do it. If being rigorous can do it, but just do it and make people become like you. That's what we want. And that's what we're going to measure. So I don't want us to measure the kindness, the things. It's not valuable than the delivery of the business. And that's what we're measuring. Okay, Oluchi.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah,
Okay,
good
so my
afternoon.
question is this. I'll use myself as an example. I got into HR. I was eager. I did all my trainings. I did everything. I was so, let me execute everything that I've learned so far. So I got a job. I started working as an HR consultant. But to my greatest surprise, the CEO of the company, she keeps saying, enforce this rule, enforce this rule, enforce this rule. I do everything, policies, handbook, all the necessary policies that needs to be followed. But I just realized that the people, the employers, they are not gingered, and the thing keeps weighing me down. So I started to do my own research. What exactly is happening under 1 month of working with them? And then I realized that the CEO, she hardly pays her staff. She pays them second week of the next month. If you do any little thing, she'll deduct their salaries. And these things keep making me feel like I'm not doing my job well, because I'm these people, they want to work. I started asking myself, why is it that good employers end up working with bad leaders, and bad leaders end up working with good employers, good workers? So it's just funny, because most of the leaders I've seen that are bad, they end up having good employers that are, kind, loyal, and they are enduring. They cannot speak up, they cannot talk, they're just there enduring the pain, and things keeps going worse. So as an HR, I see these things, it hurts me, but I really don't know what to do, because these CEOs, you can't talk to them. You cannot
So,
walk up to them and
like we answer you so that we can let me answer you there, because I can
yes,
tell
sir.
you that my answer is can be very tough. My answer is that you are the problem.
Okay,
Now,
sir.
my answer is that there's something we call upward leadership. Upward
Yes,
leadership is the capacity to lead leaders that are above you. That means
yes,
the
sir.
leaders don't see you as someone that can take them to where they want to go. So you need to learn a bit of how to make the leaders, stakeholders buy into what you want. Because now, if the leaders don't change their ways, things cannot work. So now the question now says that me as an HR director, how do I influence leadership to embrace the culture that can make the business grow? That is your major concern. That might require you coming up with business cases, how to show competitive companies in their industry, what they did and what the company is doing, the gap, and tie it to money. Tie it to a competitive company functioning this way, installing all the things you are recommending. Those companies are making this amount of money. The cost of non-performance and non-alignment, tie it down. Learn how to build your business case. Have reviews. Another thing again is that for me, if I'm having that review and I'm trying to groom, and I know that my presence there, they will say is bad. That's why it's good to have good to be marketable. Because now some leaders might still be harder man, but my role is to show you the impact of this. But my role as an HR, if I cannot do that, honestly, I will show you the impact. And if I feel that I cannot groom you, because now this impact is not only saying I've told you. Sometimes I have to go and massage the ego of the leaders and show them outside, show them things, sell their dreams to them, let them have emotional buy-in to you. Because if they don't trust you also, they will not yield, even when you are saying the right thing. So beyond the business case, we need to also be very strong in stakeholders management and politics to know how to win leaders to follow you. That's a skill. So if that skill is there, you will do it and win the leaders to follow you. That is your work. When that is done, there's no way those guys will not do, the employees will not be happy.
Hello,
Because
Ahmed.
you have been able to change the version of
Wow.
HR you are. Okay, you'll be able to change the version of HR you are. So I feel that everything still falls back to you on how to influence such leaders. And I can see skills, the BA skills you require, and also stakeholders management skills are very important to know how to manage diverse kind of leaders and get them to where you are going. It's a skill to build. And I feel that God always places people in different roles to build certain skills that will help them in their future. So that's a case study. But from the HR, there's a skill to get those leaders to answer them. And you need to find a way to ensure they answer you. Without that, nothing can change in that company. So it's either you get them to answer you, or take the world the way it is, or walk away from it. But after those three things, the best solution is just to, because you can't be walking away from everyone. There's always the music that everybody listens to. We just need to know how to play it. And that's when we learn how to manage various stakeholders. So that's where I feel, but when you've played the music that you play, and they're not now playing, and you've tried, and they're not trying, and you've done, and they're not doing, what do? Then that means that place you cannot cause a change. That's the solution. That's what I can suggest around managing and helping the employees, out of this issue. Oluwatosin Benson.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Actually, Kikelemo actually raised what I wanted to ask about, and I can see from the comment section that it's been answered. However, because I know, it's not right for us to ask for a recording. This particular session, I'm listening to alongside my 15-year-old daughter. And trust me, when you make comments, she's right on the same track, which is saying, no, that comment is said, I can relate it to my teacher. So what I'm saying is, sometimes I miss our classes. You know the way you're a Christian and then you have Christian recording you. Sometimes you want to go over them again, and then I don't know if there's any way we can access some of these resources, just refresh everything over again. I understand that might be hard because of copyright and then people sharing it and all that.
It's not hard.
But I'd love a situation where we can have access to those resources and that we can refresh some of the things we have learned over time. It really helps, to be honest, because when I took my SPHR, I still go through my my textbooks, and then I did my master's and all that, and it really helped, to be honest. I remembered when because I did my master's in UK school, and then my professor had asked me, "Have you done business master's?" I said no, but I did it in HR, because those things kept coming back when we started class, especially leadership and strategy, So I'd love if we can access those resources and then in our own time. Thank you very much. I would really appreciate that. And once again, thank you for the opportunity to be part of this. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy. Thank you for the resources.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. Bola.
Good afternoon, sir. And thank you very much for the session. It's very enlightening. I have just two quick questions. I wrote it down while you were answering others, so I won't forget. So I'll just read it out. In an organization where I recently established a structured performance management system, because when I joined them, they didn't have a structured performance management system. And this management system span across performance monitoring to weekly trackers. And now I have established formal appraisals. A challenge has arisen following the first successful cycle. I have an employee who was absent for 1 full month during the quarter due to pregnancy-related health complications. Please note that is not the maternity leave, it's just health complications, and she was absent for 1 full month. The organization supported her by providing full pay and regular check-ins during her recovery. However, during the post-quarter appraisal, the employee challenged the score given to her by her team lead as unfair. She argued that her results would have been higher had she been present for the full period. Please note that the team lead clearly gave a remark after each KPI measurement that the score given is based on work output received within the quarter. Also, please note that the metrics are divided into performance of essential job duties and also work characteristics and attitude to work. As she failed in performance of essential job duties, if she had right attitude to work, that would boost her score. But even the other second work attitude even was poor. Now, she's saying that is unfair, and she's requesting the firm to reconsider its approach to scoring whenever such health-related absences occur within a quarter. She mentioned that the fact that she was at home for 1 full month is not a fault of hers, but just medical issues. Now, I would say that is also not fair to the business, because it's also not a fault of ours that you were at home for 1 month, even though we provide one full, full, and then we check in on you. But saying that we should not measure your performance during the quarter because you were at home, or saying that we should provide some consideration or some higher score or some liberation because you were at home for 1 full month, and we should use our head to feel that if you were at work for that 1 month, you might have performed better, is what I don't know how to do. Although I have provided an initial response, but I just want to hear from you what you have to say to that. My second question is, what strategies can an organization...
Let me answer that so that I don't forget all the things you're saying. Okay, the first thing about this is that, the first thing I will ask again is, are all your senior leadership, are they really all in alignment with your performance management system?
Yes, they are, sir. I was a lady that you met at 4 Point by Sheraton when you came for a session where I introduced myself to you, and you asked what organization I was. I said, I'm in law firm, and we chit-chat. That was what we came to do that day. We had a full day session on this that you just asked. They are all in alignment, sir.
Okay, because alignment is not only alignment in words, because alignment in what they say to the people, because now there must be, where I came from, there's something is behind you. Why are you questioning culture? And your company paid full salary, and we're saying that this incident is not making you have eyes, which is obvious. That person should already know that this is just like you're in school and you were sick, and that sickness went through 1 semester and 2 semesters. Of course, no matter how that school is, indirectly you're going to have extra year, no matter what it is, because you didn't write the exam. We know you will pass if you had written the exam. So we cannot, but you have extra year. So all these things, factors are, I feel is a normal way of thinking that person does not understand. That even altering it is also setting the wrong precedents, because there might be different reasons that make people not come for 1 month. It might not only be I was sick for pregnancy. It can be that I need to go and take care of my parents. And you can do so. All those factors, your company, just like I wrote something, the gate man syndrome. If there's a gate man that is meant to be, but the gate man is sick for 1 month, what do we do to the gate?
So probably any problem.
Oh my God. Do we leave the gate open or get another gate man while the gate man is sick? So now, when we leave the gate open, when we get a different gate man and we still pay the gate man the full salary, we're kind already now, because we now got a contract gate man, but that contract gate man too will be paid salary, don't you know? So we're going to be paying 2 people, 1 person full-time that is sick, which is the gate man, and the second one we've gotten, which is the gate man. So we've done fairness already. Now, but we're still measure the man hours that come. You didn't actually give your best, and if you are averaging after 12 months, definitely that person's average will not be right, even though that person was not around, and that's what finished. That person should know already that year, thank God they even paid me salary. Oh, I will do well next year, since I won't be sick and I will have given birth. This is just a common thinking. I feel common sense thinking is what you should train that person on. And I feel that it's not only that person now. When you see people getting strong in certain words, it is not only them. There's so many people in your company that are saying the same thing but not speaking up. So it's a time to do a lot of communication, explaining, training on performance management, on how it affects you, on how, and those things should be done before this incident happen. The role of the company in understanding your handbook, understanding your PMS system, your performance system, you need to keep telling people all that, because people don't believe. In fact, humans don't believe that if they don't do something, it won't happen. That's why somebody goes to school and they still believe that he's going to pass his exam without coming to classes. It's a default setting in Nigeria, and I feel that this spiritual setting we have is a problem, because people still believe that things will work even when they're not working on anything. So it's a challenge of this, that people just believe that something must happen even when you're not working on. So it's a default fundamental problem they are dealing with. And it's not only with that stuff again, it's an environmental problem. So we need to speak up that conversation more, have that session more with that team, let them know what it is, because they're like kindergartens. For you to see someone talk this way, it shows that there's some level of understanding the person is not standing on. He's not thinking critically at all. So what do? You need to coach that person, train the people, not only the person again, and come up with scenario. Now use cases to train. Paint a scenario of a company is trying to do ABC. This person, what should we do? This kind of gate man syndrome. Everyone will say, I am a gate person now. Say, if nobody's at the gate, armed robbers kill everybody in the company. If you don't say armed robbers kill everybody in the company, people will say you should leave the gate open till they come home in Nigeria. If you paint the case study and you say the gate man was sick for 1 month, and what should we do? People will say, wait for the person. But if you say the gate man is sick, is sick for 1 month, and anybody that most times in that environment, if there's no gate man, people get killed instantly. What should we do? People will say, get another gate man. So if you don't come up with cases that can make people, gain insight and think and come up with the right solution the way you are thinking, you'll be shocked you are alone, because critical thinking is very, very, it's not easy. It's a bit about, well, we don't think critically at all. So you need to do a lot of coaching, thinking coaching, and let them see the impact of that thing on the business, and let them be the one coming up with that solution through cases. So if I'm your case, I'll do more cases. People will come up with this, and it can constantly help share perspectives. You start seeing that people will start growing gradually in the thinking you want them to think, or else everybody will support that person. You'll be shocked that 80% of the staff might even support the person, but you don't know. So the thinking needs to change. Install the thinking gradually. I feel that since you were moving from chaos to stability, whereby there was no PMS before, people are just embracing PMS. Things have been done bad before, but you're just getting stability. So these are symptoms of transition. So you need to do a lot of communication during transition a lot, to ensure that people know and know and know, since the system has already accommodated this. I've seen people that company have given 3 months before, 5 months before to stay away, but now you are getting structured. So there's no way those guys that have been there before would not be questioning things like this. So you need to do a lot of communication to make sure that things move and they can learn and unlearn the old. Let me have your second question.
All right, thank you very much, sir. My second question is that what strategic interventions can an organization take when it suffers from talent leakage? Where high performance talent leakage, sir.
I'm listening. Talent leakage. Can you repeat what you're saying? Hello?
Can you hear me now, sir?
Okay, you said what?
Okay, I said what strategy can an organization that is suffering from talent leakage, what strategy can it put in place where high performance use the organization as stepping stone for connections to gain their skills? They're working with you, you're pouring a lot on them, and you're investing a lot on them. You're taking them to meet people, by the influence of the organization being a tier 1 organization and all of that. But at the end of the day, probably in 3, 4, 5 years, they leave and they go. And then those that are underperforming, that you would even be praying that, okay, let this person even go. They're the ones that are staying.
So most times, is your performance, I feel, number one, your reward system and your performance management system is also a problem again, because your performance, there's something I read about McKinsey many years ago. He said we celebrate when non-talents leave, and we mourn when talents leave. No, so we mourn when talents leave, but we celebrate when non-talents uh, leave. So now you see that you must create a system whereby non-talents cannot even stay. That means your performance management is working. If non-talents are staying and talents are going, then there's a problem with your performance management system. It must be that your PMS must force non-talents to go. That means your reward system must be good such that talents will stay and non-talents will go.
Sir, please let me quickly just add something. Okay, so it was this issue that led to my putting in place a performance management structure that I just mentioned in the first question. And we have also now stepped up our compensation and benefit in the sense that I had to literally do alignment with what the organization within our levels are paying, and we took everyone to that level. So it is now the stage of we now making the decision of how we are going to purge out those underperformance and how we are going to retain those people that leaves after few years.
Okay, so the challenge is what you just said now also. They said we took everyone to a level. No, it should be performers that will get to that level. You should tie from beginning, before you made that offer to everybody, you'll have tied it that the only people that will make that money are the performers. So when you're implementing it, already, let's say you have people that are performing already and people that are not performing. Now, the problem is that you've increased your should I say, overhead by paying every head that is not working very well also. So at that time, when you want to implement that PMS, is you should have now divided, whereby people that are doing are at the level of performance are the ones that will get it. So that people that are still at the bottom, because when they will leave, and you actually want them to leave, or they step up. So now you've increased the salary of everybody to a level, to industry standard. Now your company is having high overhead, and performers are not, non-performers are also earning well already now. So there's no money to even pay performers well, because those non-performers are earning what you should have added to the money you should have paid performers. So from the beginning of the design is when you wanted to implement that thing, you should have now implement that. You cut out people that are performing, and people can see, use their old KPI, use what you just installed to measure them in the past 3 months, see that they constantly hit the goal. Then people that are above this in the past 3 months will be here. People that are below this will still remain at the old level. So in case you want to move to this level, you must do ABC. That will now be that people have to work to move to that level, not by design. And when you design that, what will now happen is that performance will stay, and after that implementation, no performance will leave. But that's not turnover. That's a functional turnover. It's a good turnover that is not dysfunctional. It just helps you clear your system so that you can bring in new people that can add value. Okay, so that's what has happened now. So, but you are struggling with pay now because you increase money pay of everybody, and you are now trying to drive non-performance to now work. Of course, you've paid them well already, and normally that money should have been used to attract people that are meant to be in that role. So you could have had a bit of restructuring that time, whereby some will go, which is good. People that are not, and performers will stay. Then you know that even when your money is 50 million every month, but you want performance to earn 30 million and not performance to be 20 million, you cannot see that performance will not go because your company is still paying the money. You'll be shocked that the company they are going to are paying, maybe they are paying them more, but the total head cost of the company or whatever, human capital expense, isn't the same. Like we are paying 10 good people 1 million naira each, that's 10 million. Another company is paying 400, but you're paying a lot of people. At the end of the day, the result you are getting for the company that are paying 10 a million is higher than the company that are paying a lot of people 200,000, 150,000, 200,000. So it's whether you need to redesign men and go back to your pay structure and look at it, because it's an aberration when non-performers keep staying and performers are going. You need to, it's an urgent thing to work on as fast as you can.
Okay, sir. So I just quickly need to mention that we still have other ways that we separate performance performers versus non-performers. That is because after this Q1 appraisal that has just been done, which is the first in the organization, then there is bonus. We have bonuses every time this performance appraisals has been done. So can we now do what you have just mentioned using that bonus? Because there's supposed to be a bonus after I submit my reports to the management.
Yeah, you can, but are they really aware of this bonus? And
yes. It's been something that's in the system. They are aware that there is bonus coming.
That bonus, do they know the amount or they know there's bonus coming?
No, they don't know the amount.
No, it's not a bonus.
They know that
it's not a bonus. People want to be able to say, if I do this, what I get. So the bonus, don't worry, I'll give you something. I'll give you something. They will go. I must know the something, because that something is what will make me compare what they're offering me outside with what something is. So the bonus cannot be discretionary. It must be systemic, whereby I know if I do ABC, I will qualify for this bonus. But if that is not in place, then there's still no bonus in place. And employees want to be able to track, if I do A, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm going to get. And that's when they will now say there's bonus. So that bonus that is not clear is also that there's no bonus. So they are seeing it, there's no bonus. They might not still stay because of that. They don't want it to be discretionary. They want it to be that they can trace and say, okay, this, if I do A, I get this. They cannot compare. So that's what you should change.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, you're welcome. Lastly, Ojo Olakwe. I want to encourage everybody, please kindly encourage your team, encourage your leaders, encourage your managers to join our upcoming conferences, and let's spend more time together. It's always a transformative moment and non-theoretical moment, a time whereby people actually decide that they want to make a change. Your managers will actually get to a point that they will know that they must make a change. If you're sending your managers, if you're sending your top leaders to our SLAP, then you're going to get a lot of value for that. So thank you. It's been a great time together. And thank you for waiting this long. And I'm looking forward to having you in future conferences that we are having.
Sorry, Mr. Ajibola. Are they going to send, are we going to receive emails with regards the LAP program conference coming
Yes,
up?
we're going to send mails to everybody on our programs and all, so that we can join.
Thank you.
Okay.
So how about the recording? Are we going to request for it or
no? I mentioned to you that I was going to. It's a change request you are sending that we'll look into. Then we'll get back to you on this also, as fast as we can.
Sorry, I missed out on what you said, sir. You said we should encourage our leaders. I missed the network went off for my.
No, I was talking about our programs. Try to encourage your leaders to attend our SLAP and your managers to attend our managers that manage. It's a 4-day for managers. It's a 3-day for leaders. It's always very, very transformative, and it's something we won't mind you sending your managers and leaders to our programs.
Thank you very much, sir. Noted.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ajibola Bamidele. It was an amazing session. Thank you so much, sir. And I believe each and every one of us would leave with value. We would leave knowing how we can set clear directions, how we can build systems, how we can also enforce discipline and drive accountability in our various businesses, in our various organizations. Thank you so much, sir. It was amazing. And to every one of us, I believe we're going back home. We're leaving this session knowing what we need to change immediately and what we need to also stop tolerating, immediately. And also, I could see a lot of us making inquiries for SLAP, for the managers that manage training. I've just dropped the contact of our consultants on the chat box, so you can just go ahead and reach out to the consultant. Would reply to all your messages, all your inquiries very shortly. Thank you so much once again for being part of this amazing session.
Seed Academy, your growth partner.